Hello everyone, it is Sunday night and we are coming to you live from inside of Bat City Comic Professionals in Bradenton, Florida to help you wind down your weekend with this week's latest and greatest in indie and small press new releases. And when I say this week, I do mean this week and last week because we are coming to you with a double special week and it's going to be awesome. As always, I'm your host, Shannon, aka Small Press Shann, here to get you way too excited about, like 100 books. So, get a piece of paper and a notepad, because you're going to write all of this down, because, well, again, it's like 100 books, and they are all good. So, just get ready to be excited, because it's gonna be a wild, fun time. Speaking of wild, fun times, we weren't here last week, for our Winds Down Your Weekend, because we had a wedding taking place inside of Bat City, which was super awesome and amazing. And a big congratulations to Chris and Sarah, and thank you for letting us take part in your special day. So welcome back to Wind Down Your Weekend. As always, before we can dive into the comics, we have to dive into the wine that we're drinking to wind the weekend down. And this week we have a Malbec that's called Elm Tree, and this is supposed to be I saw it. Oh yeah, they have this really nice little section of the back that breaks it down. So it is supposed to be a deep ruby red wine, which it totally is. Nailed the color choice. And then it says it's got berries, plums, and chocolate as its taste palette. And that it's like full-bodied, spicy flavors. So I'm really excited to try it because, again, spicy wines are my favorite. And it says the tannins are well-balanced. So I'm really curious to see, because sometimes when they make it a point to mention the tannins, it's a little more like acidy, like up front. But if they're saying they're well-balanced, hopefully they're not. So we're going to try it. It does smell good. Oh, that is balanced. And thankfully it doesn't taste like a tree, like the last one we had with the word tree in the name. This one is going to be very robust in an hour. Because there's already like an immediate like 4 things that you taste. And I don't know that, I guess I would say that, but berries are obviously one of them, but I can kind of taste the plum, but I do feel like I taste something different. Like it doesn't taste as plummy as plum wines usually do. I'm not sure what it is.
I don't know either.
You don't know either?
No.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird.
It's kind of weird, but I kind of not mad at the weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm like, what are you going to be? But this one definitely feels like when you pour the hot water on like a flower tea and it starts to like open up. I feel like this one's definitely a wine that you should aerate for like an hour before you drink it, because there's so many flavors coming off of like that first sip that it's gonna have a lot in it. But I'm excited because I'm going to be drinking it for at least an hour with you right now. So we'll be able to come back to it and see what that taste is like in just a little bit. You're still shaking your head like you're trying to like...
that's the taste that's going to open up.
Yeah?
I think.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think it's going to like bloom.
Yeah, it's going to bloom. I don't know like into what, but we're gonna see. I'll have to remember like when we get to in bloom, like that's when we should check to see how it bloomed. I am not gonna recap the whole entire experience since the last time we saw you, but I am going to take the time to say a big, huge thank you to a couple of people. One, C Organization for having us out. We got to be a part of their Ban Book Club and talk about Mouse and the history of banning comics and where we are in that kind of situation today. We also had our gallery opening for our exhibit collaboration with the Ringling College of Art and Design. A shout out to Kelly and Sherry, the librarians there at the college, for helping make that happen. That is actually on display all summer long, so it's going to run until August 5th. The library is open even though school is out, so y'all are welcome to, and it's free to go. So if you want to see all of the cool books and artwork and everything that Bat City and the Ringling have worked to put on together to make a really cool comic display, you should definitely drop by. And a special thank you to Mike and Noah Bartman for lending their X-Men 1 to that exhibit, and to Ward Rosen for lending 2 of his books that were used in the Senate hearings, the 1954 Senate hearings that led to the Comics Code Authority. So if you want to see some of those books, you should definitely stop by and check them out. They are on display like I said, all summer. And there will be a couple more events, I believe, with the Ringling College this summer that we will be a part of. But thank you for a great gallery opening. And again, stop by and see them between now and August 5th. And then, of course, if you missed it last Saturday, it was Free Comic Book Day. And it was a huge, ginormous Free Comic Book Day. And I'm just going to say the easiest way possible, thank you to everybody that volunteered, because I have 100 books to talk about, and I could spend an hour alone just talking about all of the amazing people, from artists and volunteers and the Good News Grillers who made the hot dogs, and Mike who also made hot dogs. I could spend forever talking about that. So if you were a part of Free Comic Book Day, thank you for being a part of it. If you were somebody who came out to celebrate Free Comic Book Day with us, thank you for coming. And if you're watching this right now and you picked up Free Comic Book Day books, let us know what your favorites were, because I would love to hear what everybody really dug this year at Free Comic Book Day and can't wait to see like the full version of. So put it in the comments and let us know. Even if you're watching this later or you don't live near us, we want to hear what books you loved during Free Comic Book Day. And then, you know, lots of great things going on. We had some fun with the Bradenton Marauders yesterday. We had fun at SiestaCon doing some panels. Shout outs to our new friends that we made along the way. And then, like I said, there's a ton of comic books. So before I talk about those, this Wednesday is going to be Ladies Non-Binary Nerd Night this month. Usually it's the third Thursday of the month. We are doing it this Wednesday because I will not be here the week that it normally is. So May 14th, we're going to meet at Loaded Barrel instead of Bat City. And so that will be it'll be around 8 o'clock on Wednesday at Loaded Barrel, which is in downtown Bradenton. Come hang out. It is a bar, so it is 21 and up. So unfortunately, if you are not that, please don't come hang out. They're regularly here, and you don't have to be 21, but this one you will. And then the day after is our $1 Fresh Start Book Club, which we will be reading Curse Words #1. There are image first of that available for $1 at the store. So come pick one up between now and Thursday so you can check that book out. And then this Saturday is actually the comic creation workshop in the morning and the start of Slam Academy for our summer intensive writing and art program for kids and teens. So please stop. There is a sign up on our website. You can go to batcity.org and you can see the Slam Academy page, and you can learn about all of the classes we take this summer. It is a la carte, so you can pick the ones you want, but the more you participate in, the more you learn. And all right, that said, I'm gonna take another drink of this wine because, again, I'm not gonna keep you all night, just most of the night, to talk about all these books. There's already more flavors. Not as many as I think there'll be later, but it's changing. It's adapting. It's getting good, yeah, it's good. All right, we're gonna kick it off with the fact that Something Is Killing the Children is back. This is issue 41 of Something Is Killing the Children from Boom Studios and James Tynion. This is definitely, you know, the quintessential James Tynion piece if you are somebody who has heard that name and wants to know what to read. This is also volume like 10. So you're going to, I think 9 actually. So you're going to need to like go back and read for a bit. But just in case you didn't know, this is actually one of those back in time volumes of Something Is Killing Children, which is a book that follows a woman named Erica Slaughter who fights monsters that kill children. That's the fastest and quickest way that I can do it. But most people cannot see, like adults normally cannot see the monsters, but Erica is a part of a secret society that trains for that. And we've never really seen a lot of how Erica got to where she is. You know, it started in the middle of a mission when the series first started, and so over the years James has been going back and forth in volumes and kind of giving us some of that information. And so this is actually seeing Erica on the road when she is an assistant and training with her partner, leader, mentor, whatever you want to call her, Jessica, at the very beginning, and kind of getting to see what that training process looked like and why Erica is the way she is. So it's really cool because you do get to see some of the characters we don't see anymore in Something Is Killing the Children. Kaya, issue 26 from Image. I love this book. I'm so excited, like, every time I get to say that Kaya is up in these high numbers because we don't see a lot of all ages indie books go for this long. So, congratulations, Wes Craig, for continuing to put out a fantastic all ages book. And it truly is. It's such a great adventure. It is about a young girl who everybody in her tribe of people has been killed except for her and her brother, and he is the golden child and she is his protector, and she is trying to get him to a place where he can learn the magic that he needs to save all of the world from the gods that are supposed to teach him. But of course, at every turn, everything that could possibly go wrong has gone wrong as they've been on this journey. Most recently, they have been teaming up with a trickster god who is telling them that he can get them to the land of the gods that they need to go to. But she has been warned countless times by many beings, including the trickster god himself, that maybe he is not the person that she should trust. And Kaya is already very interesting as it is. And so we are going to see where this goes. And in this one, her younger brother, Jin, has learned that his ability to tap into his magic may be blocked by himself and not the world around him. Grimm is back, issue 22 from Boom Studios. I am so excited this is back. We had kind of a little bit of a delay in Boom Books as they switched distribution companies. So it's nice that all of our Boom books are hitting in the last 2 weeks, but it's definitely a lot for your pull list, I know. But if you haven't read Grimm, this is about a woman named Jessica who serves as a Grim Reaper, and one day she finds out that she is not only a Grim Reaper, but she is actually the child of the Grim Reaper. And her aunt, who has wanted to take over that position of death for a long time, leads a mutiny in the afterlife, and now Original Sin has been released and is kind of causing havoc on the world, including not allowing people to die. And Jess and her crew of friends are having to figure out how to take down her aunt's Original Sin and everything that they can come up against. And this issue kind of shows a really cool thing as Jess is having a conversation with time, and so every piece of the puzzle is like not linear. It's all knocked out of order, and you kind of see Jess trying to piece it together as she's getting that different information in different ways, which makes some really great storytelling from Dr. Stephanie Phillips. Farmhand is back. This is issue 21, and it is the first time in 3 years, I think, that we've had an issue of Farmhand. This is an Image Comics title, which of course means it's creator driven, which is why we've had such a big delay. But if you don't know Farmhand, it is the story of a man named Ezekiel who decides to start a farm for growing human body parts, which is always a great idea. And of course, when you figure out how to cultivate human body parts, the government is going to get involved in all of that, and things are going to get really messy really fast. Except for the fact that not only does that happen, but the body parts kind of become pretty zombie-esque as like new humans are grown and weird things are happening. And over the last 20 issues, partnerships and misalignments have caused some problems, and now we have basically an entire race of zombie people who are spread across the world trying to destroy everything. And it's up to the original farmer's family to kind of stand against that in opposition. And in this issue, as we come back, we learned that the world might be in more danger than we could imagine. This is going to be the final arc of this season, of this series, and they are going to bring it all into an action-packed, massive conclusion as we come through these next few issues. So if you've been like, that sounds like an interesting title, it's back. Now's the time to jump in and get into it. There's so much that happens in that book that you are gonna want to jump on. So, next up, we've got Snot Girl, issue 20 from Image Comics. This will be the last single issue of Snot Girl. It is actually going to go strictly into, like, printing as essentially graphic novels. So this, if you, like, there will still be more volumes. I believe there's 2 more volumes to come after this, but they are all going to come out directly, like, in trade paperback, graphic novel form, however you want to describe that. But from the creator of Scott Pilgrim, we have this series, Snot Girl, which is all about a woman who is a influencer and is not actually very good at it, is not very great of a person most of the time. She's had a lot of problems. There's been some murder, mystery, and mayhem in the world of Snot Girl, and while she's kind of trying to just figure out how to, like, live her best life and celebrate having this girlfriend and kind of dealing with the drama of coming out to her mom and her aunt, who she thinks will judge her in all capacities. She, on the other side, we're seeing some people who have started to figure out that there is a secret society of influencers who kind of control everything and who may also be like up to some mysterious murdery type things, and they're trying to figure out how to take them down. And so she's kind of not in the middle of that right now at all while these people are dealing with it. But we get a really beautiful story in this issue where she kind of comes to realize that the reason like her girlfriend's been mad at her on this weekend vacation is just because she is hiding who she is. And she needs to kind of be honest about it. And she learns this from a beautiful story from her aunt who's like, hey, I didn't ever tell anybody about the person that I loved because I thought I would be a bad influence, and maybe you need to stop worrying about the influence you have on others and start actually worrying about the influence you have in your own life, which was really beautiful. So yeah, but Pickup's Not Girl, grab those original volumes, get started. It's so good, it's so funny, and it's just a great light read that kind of just makes you happy while you read it. And makes you kind of feel like your life isn't as big of a mess as you thought it was at the same time. We have Void Rivals, issue 18 from Image, Skybound, and our Energon universe. This is the cornerstone of that Transformers G.I. Joe crossover, written by Robert Kirkman, the creator of Invincible and Walking Dead. And in this issue, in this series, we've been learning about two different warring planets who we've learned are actually of the same people group and have just been separated forever and been told, like, you can't connect with each other. And if you find out the truth that your two planets are the same, like, the world's going to come to an end. And these two fighter pilots have found out that, like, hey, maybe none of that's true. And so one of them is actually the son of the emperor of one of the planets. And he is now dealing with the fact that his dad knows that he knows the truth. And his dad's like, look, if you, like, seriously, we'll all die if you expose that. And he's like, I don't think that's the case. Like, I think that, you're up to something. Meanwhile, the other pilot has found some truth in some of their older gods, which we know as Transformers, and has found some information that lies within this like Energon built world, and is like, hey, maybe it's time like I take on this power and we kind of come together and we put a stop to all of this. Meanwhile, they're all kind of learning about Energon and what it is as like a rebellion group, and so we're about to see basically the Rebel Alliance stand up to the Empire, and they're going to do it with Transformers. It's going to be cool. Knights, issue 15 from Image Comics. So, Knights is a very, like, Americanized version of Miyazaki, so it's a little more dark and gritty. It's a little more, like American problems. It takes place in an alternate version of Florida. And it is the story of a kid who is a vampire, like the town vampire, a guy who is essentially like a werewolf spirit beast kind of thing, and the boy who loves them both, the cousin of the werewolf and the boyfriend of the vampire. And we've kind of learned, like, our vampire Gray has had a lot of, like, mysterious past, and there's something about her that makes her special even in the vampire world. And we finally are learning what that is, as this volume of Knights has gone back in time and is showing us why a secret government organization started hunting Gray in the first place and what it was that made her so special. We're also seeing her connection to the person that runs that, and also of a previous boyfriend who may have had some extreme magical powers that's really changed her own situation. And so in this one, we actually get to see new kinds of magic that we haven't heard about in this world yet, with some possible like fairy earth magic kind of people. And so I'm really excited to see where that goes, and how this is all going to connect back to what is really going on inside of Gray as we move back into the modern time. All right, so with all of the diamond disruptions causing print delays, or distribution delays, not print delays, but distribution delays, we actually managed to get 2 Thundercats issues at the same time. So we got issues 14 and 15. And I'm going to talk to you about issue 15 and kind of fill you in. Actually, I almost can't do that because real fast. Issue 14 follows the actual Thundercats as Mum-Ra attacks them and tells them that they're not even good at their job because Lion-O is missing and none of them even know that, and is like, I'm gonna destroy you just like I destroyed your leader. Like, he came to me trying to defeat me on his own, and now he's gone forever and you don't even know that. And so that's what happens in 14. 15 is actually a story just featuring Lion-O, which is really actually a cool story because Lion-O is, as we know as readers, he's like wrapped up in like spider web, essentially, like inside of a mummy's tomb in Mum-Ra's like evil lair. But he's in this like alternate world where he has been living essentially at this point. Like, he's like, I'm just going through every day just battling this like creatures like gargoyles and other kinds of monsters and any beast that could come after it because I'm trying to build a home for the Thundercats. And I don't know where they are, and I don't know how I got trapped in this world, but here I am. And he meets the character that we've met in Thundercats Apex, which has been another series that's ongoing, and those two kind of cross over in here. And I'm not going to tell you anything else because we actually get some reveals on who Apex actually is as that issue goes on, which isn't really hard to figure out once you're in the story, but I still don't want to spoil it. Sam and Twitch Case Files, issue 13 from Image Comics and our Spawn universe. If you are a fan of Spawn, this is your time to be going to a comic book store because there's like 700 Spawn titles on the shelves right now, and they're actually really good, really great universe builders. And Sam and Twitch is one of those where even if you're like, I don't know anything about Spawn and I don't care necessarily to learn it all, you don't have to. You could honestly just jump into Sam and Twitch because this is just a detective story. And in this story, our police officer, Twitch, whose real name is Max, is on like administrative leave suspended from the police force because he fired his weapon and killed a person in the line of duty. And now, like, they're trying to investigate it and figure out what's going on and whether or not he should be charged because they're like, was there no reason why was the reason that you had to use excessive force? And so Sam, who is normally not the calm, let me do the paperwork and figure things out partner of the group, is having to actually do the slow investigating and figure out what's going on. And we are figuring out that there is like possibly some weird drug that's causing people to go crazy or to have like extra strength, and there seems to be some weird stuff going on. And Sam is trying to figure out how to link that to Twitch's case before it's too late. Meanwhile, Twitch has been having these weird hallucinations of things that aren't like, or things that aren't there, but they're like able to have conversations with him, and kind of they're almost like just ordinary hallucinations, but like he's seeing his own kid who's not dead. It's like a living kid, and he's having conversations with him, but then the kid's like not there. He's kind of having these crazy delusions, and so now we don't know as readers if our narrator has become so unreliable that like maybe Twitch really didn't need to shoot the person and maybe nothing was really going on. We're gonna find out. It's getting wild. You should read it. We've got Feral, issue 12 from Image Comics, and this is from your team that brought you Stray Dogs just a few years back, and Friends of Bat City. I so love this book. This is Walking Dead with cats, essentially, and over the course of this series, we have been following along as this group of cats has basically been in what they consider a zombie outbreak for cats, what we as humans would just consider a massive rabies outbreak. But it is highly impacting like all animals everywhere, and cats were supposed to be rounded up and like taken to vets to essentially be put down, and this group of survivors has been making their way through it. And we've kind of lived through several like very Walking Dead-esque moments. Like we even had like the lady who was like, oh, she's the governor provides kind of situation, and they have just broken free from that, and they're kind of living out in the woods for a second to figure out what's going on. And they meet an alley cat, essentially, who's like, hey, I can keep you safe, like stick with me and this dog. He's like a super cool dog, don't worry about it. And he's like, the only thing I want is I need to get us into this pet store. Like if we can get into that pet store, we could live in there. We'd have all the supplies we'd need, we'd have all the food we'd need, but there's just no way in. And so because it's surrounded by wild and crazy, like, you know, zombies. And so they're like trying to figure out their plan on how they're going to get into that. And so next issue is probably going to lead us into that big adventure. And I can't wait to see how that goes down. I really just feel like you could like take Walking Dead and like read this and do a book club where you like compare and contrast, and it would be really cool. But you also get all those cool movie covers. And speaking of cool covers, man, this is cool. We've got Hello Darkness issue 10 from Boom Studios, and this really wicked, awesome, disgustingly hot Jenny Frison cover. Like, I'm like, I don't know how you can make it both of those things. And we've got 4 stories in here. Is it 4 stories? Yes. So, well, we have our hack story at the beginning, but that's always just like little tiny mini stories. And then the next story is actually illustrated by our friend Max Fuchs. And this is a story all about like this asteroid that when it gets too close to the Earth causes people to go crazy. And we kind of just get to see like this is the first time in like 1400 years where this asteroid might get close, and we just get to see how crazy things can actually get on the Earth as it's happening. And Max is so good at drawing cities and like terrible things happening in them that I was like, what a perfect choice. Way to pick a great artist. Wow, that's and then we get Something is Killing the Children story that's been going on in like every other issue of Hello Darkness, and it's just Erica sitting in a bar in a town that's having some problems with some monsters, and she is kind of trying to get some inside information, and we just kind of see what it's like to do that investigation. And then we have this really cool story from Dan Abnett that's about getting approached essentially to tell one of the stories of the haunted house that he lives in. And he's like, I didn't want to do that because none of my stories have any endings. But then he starts telling a story about essentially the house that he lives in and the weird things that happen and how it's like nothing, like it's not like ghosts like doing different stuff, but it's like one day like this thing of keys just appears, and like one day it'll work on a door, and then you go to like unlock the door and the same key doesn't work anymore. And then like 3 days later, like another, like the key will work on another door. And just kind of how the house always feels like it's in transition and that it's moving and that it's on this like long road that's been there since ancient Rome. And how it's just got all this cool like historical like ghostly spirits kind of there. And then the last story is all about a person who lives in a world where basically our obsession with media and our need to like constantly stare at screens kind of becomes, and the ads of social media and things like that kind of puts us in a place where they're like, like he goes into a Starbucks and they're like, oh, it shows that you want the mocha, this and this and this, and he's like, no, I actually don't. And they're like, well, according to our data, you looked at that on your phone, and so now you have to buy it. You're like contractually obligated to buy it because you looked at it for more than 6 seconds, and if you don't buy it, like you owe us all this money. And he gets in trouble, and it's like basically the way how that like fallout kind of happens and the way that it works, and it's just kind of like Minority Report meets social media essentially, and it's a really wild story, and you're like kind of the whole time you're like kind of just freaked out because it seems so real. But yeah, anthologies, they're great. You got to check them out. All right, it finally happened. We finally got the Edge number 9, and with it we got the Edge number 10 from Comicsburg. So I'm really excited that we finally got both. Marvin, I hope you're here. I'm like, it's fine. I finally got them, Marvin. I hope you're here. We're gonna jump to talking about issue 10 a little bit more, because they actually are, it's great that they came at the same time, because they actually are kind of,
Marvin says woo.
they actually are kind of the perfect like cliffhanger. So I feel like I cheated by getting them at the same time, because we're kind of in this system where they're like this like underground lab kind of situation where they're like making this super serum, and they're like creating all the stuff that they're doing, like the experiments they're doing on these people. And in issue 9 we actually get to see like a break-in kind of situation happening, and the people kind of going to battle over that, this stuff that's happening, kind of get to see how all those powers develop. And so it's great, because I would have been left on a terrible cliffhanger, but then I got issue 10 right inside the same box. And so I'm able to see our team of superheroes actually getting to train immediately with those new powers and the way that that's affecting them, and how it's going to be used for them. And we see that the world is not very friendly. And one of the things that I like about this issue is that they've always just been like the heroes out there like doing the thing and always being great. But we see, like, even on the cover, you see they're like, no enhanced people, like we only want humans. And so we're starting to see that there's a lot of contention even against our superheroes. And then now we've got this literal like big bad coming. He is huge, and it's one of those where you can imagine like they're gonna come in and like hit him, and he's just not gonna have the movement. So we've got a huge monstrous like juggernaut of a character coming after us. And meanwhile, the guy that oversees all of this superhero development has definitely some shady rules going on here. Things are getting crazy, and again, the people themselves are starting to be really contentious and angry towards the idea of enhanced people. And so I can't wait to see where the edge goes in the next issue, because things are getting crazy. Uncanny Valley issue 9 from Boom Studios. This is your Roger Rabbit kind of story where a young boy finds out that essentially he is part cartoon when he is kidnapped by his grandfather, who is essentially Yosemite Sam, and taken to the cartoon world, because the one ruler of the cartoon world has made everybody believe that the only person who can save them is this young boy who is of both worlds. But we have learned over the last 9 issues that he is actually not the one above them all is actually not a good guy, as anybody who kind of calls themselves that never is. Like anybody who's like, oh, I'm the one to rule them all, like I don't trust you automatically. And the way Tony Fleece and Dave Watcher actually built that story for that Chosen One comic, like, or cartoon, is great. Like, that issue alone was fantastic. But he is definitely somebody that we cannot trust, and he is planning to sacrifice our little boy to steal his magic that comes from being a creature of both worlds, so that he can essentially take over our world, because the cartoons are tired of being second to the humanity. And the only person that can save him now is his own mother, who is actually half cartoon and half human, and she is very much turned away her back to the world of the cartoons because of just having like that childhood trauma, and she's having to face all of that right now in this issue as a way to save her son. Perfect in time for Mother's Day. It's gonna be a very sad story, I have a feeling, when we get to the end. Galaxy of Madness issue 9 from Mad Cave. This has been seriously the perfect title for this book, because it started as just like a space adventure that kind of felt almost Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy-esque, and then it kind of turned into some madness for this arc of the story. But this is about a young girl who her parents have gone missing. They were essentially space archaeologists, and they went missing while they were trying to figure out like essentially like what the world is made of, like what is at the heart of the galaxy. And she's been raised by her godfather, who was their best friend and archaeological business partner. And over the course of the series, she's been like, I'm determined to go find my parents. I want to figure out like what happened to them. It's up to me like to do it, because nobody else is. And then the last couple issues, her godfather kind of went crazy. And like almost went a little Thanos-y, like, because he was given some ultimate power and kind of had a Thanos moment where he almost took everybody out. But in the process of dealing with that, she actually found her parents. And in this issue, she's finally gotten everything she could possibly want. Like, her parents are back. It turns out like their research was founded and was good, and now everybody trusts them, and they're like well-to-do again. And she realizes she doesn't trust any of it, and she doesn't want any of it. And so that thing that she's like pushed everybody aside for so long to try to find, turns out it's not actually all it was cracked up to be. And so now in this issue, she is actually trying to hunt down her imprisoned godfather to figure out why she feels the way she does and why everything seems so messed up to her. And we're going to see where that goes. And it's going to be mad. We've got Gotcha Man issue 9, also from Mad Cave. In this main title of Gatchaman we have been dealing with a lot, and in the last like part of this arc we saw basically some like evil smoke came down and it was causing people to like rage out against each other, and Ken and Joe from the Gatchaman, the team, were not able to kind of hold it together, and they ended up fighting each other. And they managed to obviously pull it together, but with only like Jinpai getting hurt. And so now he is at home while all of the Science Ninja team is at a science conference to make sure that like all the world's greatest scientists, like nothing happens to them, because Galactor, the bad guy, is always trying to find all the scientists to steal them. And they're the Science Ninja team, so they really care that scientists stay safe. But so while they're doing that, this guy that has been hired to be the new sensei for the second string team, essentially like the backup team, has essentially been poisoning their minds and making them to believe that they're never going to get a chance to be part of Gatchaman, and that they're not necessary, and that they should hate like the main team. And we found out like there's some reasons behind him acting like that, and in this issue we kind of see that start to come to a head as one of the Science Ninja team members, Shinpai, is actually back there and is able to see this happening. Meanwhile, a bunch of evil robot drones attack the science conference as well as the Science Ninja team's home, and so we're kind of left on some major cliffhangers on whether or not they're going to be able to get out of that. The Moon is Following Us, issue 9. I'm pretty sure that Daniel Warren Johnson sits at home and thinks, how could I rip people's hearts out? And then makes a book around that. And this is definitely what he's trying to do in this particular issue of The Moon is Following Us. But if you haven't read it yet, essentially it is the story of a little girl who is trapped in a coma, and because being in that coma, she is having all of her life force essentially sucked out by this mysterious man who also claims that he can help her parents save her. And so the parents have entered into her dream state and have been trying to save her from all of like the stuff inside her brain that's keeping her hostage. And the battle has been very trying, and it is one of those like, if you die in this world, you die in the real world kind of situation. And so the parents have gone back and forth. Like, you thought there was going to be like divorce, you thought that they were just going to like quit on each other. And we were left on a really big cliffhanger of possible loss and destruction in the last issue. And Daniel Warren Johnson just compounds on that constantly in this issue and was like, oh, haha, just kidding. You thought you were sad last time. Guess what? Now you're more sad this time. We only have, I believe, one issue left to see if they're going to make it out of this world and if everything's going to be okay. And so I can't really tell you too much, because all of the things that happened in the back half of this issue changed the course of the story forever. Blood Squad 7, issue 8. That was so confusing to say. From Image Comics. This is all about essentially a superhero team that is supposed to be like the recreation of a 90s Image team. So it's been 30 years since the original Blood Squad 7 in this universe existed, and now the government is trying to rebuild it so that they can use the optics of having a superhero team that they control as a way to like be America's force. And the team that they're building, they kind of haven't done anything to train them to actually be superheroes and like maintain their powers. They've just kind of gone through marketing training, and it's their announcement day, and they're supposed to be at this conference that's like called like BloodCon or whatever, and they're gonna like bring them all out, plus some of the older heroes, so that they can do interviews together and talk to their old counterpart. And a bunch of villains attack, and they're like, you're not prepared to be heroes, you don't even know how to fight. And it's like, yeah, they kind of get their butts kicked because they're really not prepared to fight. And so we get to see some of the old characters come in from their world and like be introduced to us, because of course we don't actually know them, as they tell us like what's actually like, you know, hey, you're gonna need to know all this, kids. And we kind of learned that this team already has a lot of dynamic issues, but they're definitely going to just have some basic issue problems. Meanwhile, the government has some problems keeping their team in check and figuring out how to deal with things. It's a really great case study in if we actually had superheroes in America, what the problems would be. You should just read that. That's like a manual for it. Grommets, issue 7 from Image Comics. This is the end of Grommets. And it is such a good ending. This is Rick Remender and Brian Posehn writing a great story about being teenagers in the 80s and kind of just a great coming of age story in a time when that was like a difficult in its own way. And it follows two boys who are not well liked in their community because they are skaters and they're punk kids, and their parents don't like them, their grandparents don't like them, like everybody kind of is just like, get it together. And they found each other, and they've been dealing with like having nobody but each other and kind of building a friends group out from there. And in the 3 issues prior to this, like we saw them try to throw their own little party for their friends group and it get raided by a bunch of the jocks from school, which led to them getting beat up, which led to some really dangerous fighting, and them getting caught by, I don't want to show that spoiler, them getting caught by the police, and the police just automatically being like, you're the problem. And they're like, is it because the other guys in the fight were the state champions on the football team? Is that why? And they were like, oh, we had no idea. Oh, now that you say that, of course they're promising young men. We wouldn't want to ruin their lives. And they're like, thought so. But in this issue, we find out that time is up and one of our kiddos is having to move while the other is also getting some really bad information from his family. And since this is the end of the story, I don't really want to show you too much because the wrap-up is just wholesome. And you have to read it. Speaking of wholesome things you have to read, we've got Robot Plus Girl issue 7 from Keenspot. I'm so excited. I'm never not excited when Robot and Girl come out. It's so good. But in this series, this is all about a girl who meets a robot, and both of them are kind of down on their luck. You know, she's kind of looking for friends in her own way, but she's also in need of just ways to survive. The robot is he is on his way to scrap himself when he finds her, and they just realize that they could become friends. She ends up getting in some trouble with her job because of Robot, whose name is actually Ara. And she's like, and so he's trying to make it up to her, goes out in the middle of the night to get her some food so that she has something to eat, only to get kidnapped by some people who are essentially putting him into this thunderdome of robot fighting. And now it's her turn to try to save him. And so she is currently breaking into this, like, exclusive, like, underground fight ring so that she can save Ara. And, it's just, I just want them to hug. I just want them to be happy. I just want to hang out with them on a Saturday. All good things. But we're going to find out if she can save him before it's too late and he gets stuck in one of these battles that he won't be able to make it out of. It's so cute. You should, if you're not reading it, I don't know what you're doing with your life. Defenders of the Earth, issue 6. This is from Mad Cave. It is part of our Flash Gordon universe. And it is kind of focusing on the whole, it is focusing on the whole team, but kind of leading us up to the stuff that will be happening with the Phantom. But in this issue, or in this series, I guess I should say, we've been dealing with the fact that the Phantom and Mandrake and the Flash and all of the people that have kind of been connected through that are all together in their old, like, 7 kingdoms, and Lothar's kind of dealing with the fact that his ex, who is like the queen of all of that now, is like, look, I'm giving you the opportunity to come here and fix things, but y'all aren't actually fixing things. Meanwhile, the aliens that have always been kind of the problem seem to be teaming up with his ex and putting them all in danger. And right now, while they're all trying to kind of figure out what that's going to do, the adults are really missing the point, and all of their kids are kind of going to have to come together and save everybody if any of this is going to happen. Meanwhile, Flash has made some slip-ups in his process of thinking he's always one step ahead of everybody else, and so Flash Gordon himself might be out of the game for a hot minute while we try to figure out where we're going to go next. Again, I think they're going to have to rely on their own teenage kids if anybody is going to be able to save the day. But if you're just looking for some more in that Flash Gordon world, or if you're like you're like waiting for the Phantom and you're not patient enough, this is definitely a great way to get some more of those characters. I'm going to take a drink of this wine. Ooh, you're making face. Does that mean it opened up nicely?
I haven't tried it.
Oh, you drink. Okay. Oh, that's like way more pepper on the forefront taste of that. But then there's still that other thing that I don't know what it is. I'm like determined to figure out what's in this wine. I'm like not good at that, but I'm determined to figure it out. Elm Tree, whatever you are, I don't know yet, but I like ya. I just don't know what you are. Right? Is it tree? Like,
yeah.
I think it's grapes. If I had to guess, it's grapes. But yeah, I don't know, but it's good. We've got Planetary Expansion issue 5 from Critical Entertainment. This is all about a world where basically humankind has figured out that Earth is kind of being destroyed. We're doing it. It's our fault. But there's a group of people who are like, hey, we're going to go out and we're going to find another place that's going to be a place for us to live. And so it's like in another whole solar system, and there's supposed to be a group of people who like have chosen or been chosen to go on this spaceship ride to the other place and live, and it's kind of like you're never coming back. If you go, like you go. Meanwhile, that there was a whole bunch of stuff that went down during the day where they were supposed to be having like the come check out, like say goodbye to your family. And now everybody who was on there to say goodbye to their family ended up stuck on the ship as the ship launched and went into space. However, some of the drama was that the government didn't want them to launch the ship and didn't want them to go. And now they are being attacked once they get into space by different spacecrafts. And it's like, I think some of these might be the government, some of these might be other like private people. They're like, we don't really know what's going on, but thankfully a man who stowed away on the plane that we are still, or the ship that we're still learning about, has taken one of the spaceships and is going out and fighting our battles for us. And we're going to figure out a little bit more about who this guy is, I think, because we kind of seem, they give us a new like title point for this one. So this is like a new arc, and I think we're going to follow him a little bit more in this arc and kind of maybe learn a little bit about him. But it's such a big book, and we just launched. We're not even to the place. We're not even there yet. So we have not expanded to a new planet yet, and we have already had 5 issues of a lot of drama. So we're going to see where we go. The Rockefellers, issue 5 from Image Comics and the Ghost Machine imprint. This is such a fun book, and I definitely think this is one of those like first like families of a publishing company that you want to watch. It kind of feels very Fantastic Four-y if they were an actual like family of unit of like a mom, a dad, and kids, because it does follow a mom, a dad, a grandpa, and 2 kids, as they are from the future and they are part of some very important things that lead them into people hunting them down and trying to harm them. And in order to get away from evil, bad people, they end up coming back to our time. And now they're kind of trying to figure out how to live here in our world, and they're trying to blend in and just be normal, and that's kind of working, that's kind of not. We're seeing a couple different storylines in this. One of them is that the youngest kiddo, the daughter, she loves taking care of animals and talking to them, and she is out taking care of the birds that she loves out in the yard, and she randomly faints, and they panic and they have to take her to the hospital. While they're doing that, a secret billionaire who has a large amount of money sends his SWAT team essentially in to try to find them, because the son, who's been bored in this world, has been using his internet skills, his computer skills from the future to kind of hack into things and steal a bunch of money and stuff from rich people. And now they're after him. And so now the family's got some problems here in our time as well as from their future time. And we do get to see a little teaser of that. And I don't want to spoil that for you, of who is coming from the future and what that danger actually looks like. But if you're not reading this is such a good book that you need to jump into. You're going to love it. Assassin's Apprentice, Volume 3, Issue 5 from Dark Horse. The book that always surprises me, that I love it so much. It's always so well done. I mean, again, this is one of those comics where it's like, I feel like I just read a whole novel after each one that I read, because there's so much to it, which you're going to see immediately. But this is about a boy who's not really a boy anymore. He's kind of like in his 20s at this point, 3 volumes in, but he is the son of a prince. He is the illegitimate son of a prince. And because of that, he was immediately cast out. But then they bring him back in and are like, hey, you know what? Being the son of a prince gets you closer to inner circles, but being illegitimate child means that we can toss you aside. So we're going to train you to be an assassin and also to be royal. And so we're going to be able to send you out to different places to network and engage as a representative, like a diplomat of our people. But if you happen to kill people while you're there and you get caught, we don't really care. At this point, his 2 uncles are very different people, and one of them is being forced to marry a woman from another kingdom that will be a great tie for their connection people. And he's actually like, I'm okay with it. I'm more concerned about my people, and I don't really have time for it. So he doesn't even go to meet her or for the wedding, which is crazy. But then the other uncle, who is kind of like the terrible prince who's out for all of his personal gain, is trying to have the prince of the other country assassinated so that the princess will be the sole heir of the kingdom, and then it'll empower them even stronger. And so he is being told he has to do that. He attempts to actually just be honest with them and tell them what's going on because he doesn't think that his uncle is trustworthy. And some twists and turns and all kinds of crazy stuff happens in this issue, and it's like you can't win for losing and you can't lose for winning kind of situation. It becomes in a whole big mess, and our kiddo is in a lot of trouble, and I cannot wait to see what happens to him next. Mark Spears Monsters issue 4 from Keenspot. This is actually, we're starting to see a lot of this story really flesh out, but if you are a fan of the Universal Monsters, the Mark Spears Monster Universe is definitely a cool thing for you to check out. And in this issue, over the series, I guess, there's been a lot of people who've gone missing, mostly kids and like mostly children, and they're kind of trying to figure out like what's happening to these kids. We've been kind of more so following Dracula and the monsters, and I like this issue because it feels very like Stand By Me, It kind of thing, where you're following a group of children who are trying to figure out like what's going on, and they're like, oh, and you've got the 2 that are like, oh, we've got to go hunt down like this house because creepy so-and-so old man is definitely part of why the kids are missing. And then you got the one kid that's like, I don't want to go. It's dangerous. Like, I'm going to pee in my pants. Like, don't make me do this. And when they get there, they see some very suspicious looking humans who are not in fact humans. And it kind of does terrify them. I do like this page. Meanwhile, we also see the sheriff of the town thinks he has a lead on who is kidnapping the children and what is happening to them. But we are actually seeing that a new one of the monsters come into town. And we're going to continue to see those grow as each thing happens over and over again, with new monsters in each issue from all of those monster universes. The Patchwork Girl of Oz, issue 4, from Image Comics. I had to think about it for a second. I was like, who has the rights to this? Image Comics. This is from the world of Oz, if you didn't know. It is part of the original. It is an adaptation of one of the original 40 Wizard of Oz books. It's actually one of the original 13 ones. But it is the story of of a girl who is made out of patchwork scraps by a magician and his wife because they need additional help for around the house. And so they make this girl out of patchwork scraps, and they're like, that way she won't look like anything special and nobody will want to take her away from us, and we'll always have our helper. But a young boy who is visiting them doesn't think that that's right, that that's already how they're going to treat her. So he ends up giving her a little too much spunk and sass and brains. And in the process of doing that, he accidentally and she accidentally caused his uncle and the wife of the magician to get turned into stone. And so now the only thing they can do is they can brew up a potion that will reverse the effects of the stonework. But all of the ingredients are spread all around the world of Oz. And so the young boy is going to have to go on an adventure to find them all. And the Patchwork Girl and the glass cat decide that they will actually help him on his adventure. And so we're gonna get to see that in all of the different parts of Oz that they have to go to in the next few issues. It's very fun, and also very great for children to help them with the adaptation of that story from the Oz world. The Seasons, issue 4 from Image and the Giant Generator imprint. This is such a great story that is just kind of getting bigger and bigger. It is about 4 sisters who are named after the seasons, whose parents have gone missing or died. I'm not really sure. And one of the sisters, Autumn, has gone off and is trying to do the investigation to figure out like what happened to their parents and the research they were doing and all of the dangers that they got in. Winter, who is very grumpy, is in charge of watching the youngest sister, Spring, and isn't very happy about the fact that she's stuck kind of raising the younger sister, who is actually kind of the only one out and responsible in doing things. And then the other sister, Summer, is a celebrity. She's a model and actress, and she only kind of cares about herself. Meanwhile, Spring gets a letter from Autumn that's like, hey, there's a circus coming to town. It's not what you think. It's very like demonic. It's going to steal souls. It's going to cause problems. Like, get out of town before the circus comes. And Winter doesn't believe her. And nobody believes her at all. And so they're kind of stuck there. And now the circus has arrived. And the first night, each night is supposed to be a different theme, and it's kind of by invitation only. And we get to see in this issue Summer getting an invitation from the circus, and what exactly like the creepy weird things that may come with this circus may be, as Summer kind of falls victim to some of the things that they are saying and doing at this circus. It's our first little inclination of just like how bad and how twisted and great the storytelling is going to be to make this happen. You know, he kind of said that at the very beginning. Rick Remender kind of said he liked the idea of it feeling like a 10-10, like follow the bouncing ball kind of adventure. And so we're kind of seeing that happen as Spring kind of follows and investigates all the different stuff. And so it's really great storytelling in the way he's setting it all up. Kill Train, issue 4 from Mad Cave. This is all about essentially the way we decide to deal with population control in New York City is that we start having these trains where people who go on them, they just let like crazy psychopathic murderers get on the trains and like start killing everybody, and that's how they deal with population control. And it's usually supposed to be like once a month a kill train happens. And so this mom who doesn't have her life together very well drops her daughter off at school and then is supposed to go to an interview, and she realizes that like the best thing she doesn't have the money for a cab, so the only thing she can do is take the train. But it's fine because the kill train was yesterday and they're always a month apart. And she gets on this train and it turns out to be a kill train. And she's like, oh my gosh. And she has basically been having a psychotic breakdown, like dealing with all of her personal trauma as she works her way through this train. And it's been like, as she deals with her trauma, she's kind of able to deal with what's happening in front of her in each of the cars on the train. This issue though was so freaking good and so well done because she is battling against like the thing that she's imagining in this. And I don't want to show you anything from the back half because everything back there is just insane. So I'm just gonna hold it for a second. Everything she's dealing with this is more personal like than ever. Like it's about like herself as a villain in this issue, and we get to learn something about her connection to some of the people that she's fighting through. And there were multiple times in this issue where I was just like, oh my god, like that's what we're doing? Oh my god. Really good. I think it's probably only one more issue, and I can't wait to see how they actually like wrap it up and where it lands. Also a great Mother's Day issue. It's just fighting to get back to her kid. We've got The Human Fly, issue 4 from IPI Comics. This is taking the story of the human fly and kind of giving it a modern tale. And so this is the character of the human fly is out, and he is a daredevil, that's the word. He is like, I was like, what do you call like Evel Knievel? That's what it is, right? Yeah, like a professional stunt daredevil kind of guy. And he also works though to do a lot of investigations and solve like some crimes and mysteries. And so his team he's been building a team of people to be like additional human flies and be a part of his tour that's going around the American, like North American countryside. And he's like, oh, I've got this great team, we're all doing stuff, but he keeps taking on these secret investigations and like bringing in people to do stuff. And one of his team members, the newest fly, Mercury, decides that she does not trust him because he won't release his real identity to them. And he keeps bringing on, like I said, like just different cases and stuff. And they're like, okay, are we doing a performance thing? Are we solving mysteries? Are you going to tell us that? Are we going to be allowed to be a part of it? And she quits and is like, I'm not gonna do this if you're not gonna let me be included. And so this issue is kind of him kind of coming to terms with, okay, maybe Mercury is a little right, and also Mercury kind of coming to terms with what it is that it means to quit and what it means to be a human fly. So Howl, issue 4 from Ahoy Comics. Man, this book gets crazier and crazier every issue, and like in the best ways possible. This is a sci-fi horror type kind of situation, and that has body parts on it that I can't show on the screen. Okay, I can show this. This is about a woman who is in a kind of loveless relationship, but she thinks it's really fine, but her boyfriend is totally a pretentious jerk and doesn't really care about her. And he is a sci-fi writer, and he starts going to see a therapist to kind of help him with his sci-fi writing, only to that to basically be a alien invasion kind of situation like going on. And we get all these like pod people starting to form as these men are all going to see this therapist and start acting like really crazy, weird alien-esque behaviors. And in this issue, she's kind of being won over for the first time by her boyfriend. Like, she's having like this, he's like, oh, I know you just went through this tragedy, I want to be here for you, let me help you, because some weird creepy like gooey alien stuff happened. And he's like, let me be here for you, I've got you. And she's like, I don't trust you. Like, I definitely know you must be an alien if you're supposed to be my boyfriend and you're being this nice and you're doing all the things that are like for me, because he's never done that in the entire world. And never have I even considered that would be a possibility. So she starts to kind of put it together that something weird is going on. Meanwhile, her mom, who is on vacation in Florida, like retirement kind of home situation, is also kind of starting to put together that weird things are happening. And we're going to see what all that looks like and how this comes to a fruition as the story keeps going.
Yeah.
Green Hornet and Miss Fury, issue 4 from Dynamite. So, if you haven't read this yet, basically the Green Hornet and Miss Fury, who are both older characters, have come back and not really teaming up so much throughout the series as kind of realizing that they have a mutual enemy. And a mutual mentor. So they both learned recently that they had the same mentor and he has gone missing. And they are both on the quest to try to figure out why, because they were both informed that that happened. And it's basically been a giant setup. And now Britt, the Green Lantern, is in a... Not Green Lantern, Green Hornet. The Green Hornet is in a place where he is possibly going to be framed for all of the bad things that are happening in the city. And the only person that knows that that's actually coming is Miss Fury. And so she has to realize that, okay, maybe like he's not he's annoying, but maybe she can still help him. Meanwhile, she's dealing with her own biggest bad guy who's come back just to attack her. And so this whole thing has been this monstrous setup. And in this issue, we learn that at the end of the day, Kato is always right, because that's what we learn at the end of every Green Hornet issue. And so there's a big battle that's brewing for the last issue in issue 5, but we are going to figure out whether or not these 3 can work together in order to save the day when that happens. We've got Ripperland issue 4 from Dark Horse, and this is the, I believe this is the wrap-up, at least for now, like of this arc, because it does say at the back that the trade paperback of the series is over, but I definitely think that we need to see more of these characters. But if you haven't been reading Ripperland, this is the story of basically, England has, we decided that it was going under, like England was failing, and so America was like, okay, well, we'll bail you out, but the only way we'll do that is if you become a tourist destination for us in the way we want. And so that is that we expect England to go back to being the Victorian times. And so everything in England has to just live completely Victorian style and act that way. And if you're going to have a essentially Victorian theme park, it's only a matter of time before Jack the Ripper makes his appearance. And so a person is murdered, and it is very similar to the Jack the Ripper style. And so they call in an American investigator to come over, and he has started helping the police officer in the Scotland Yard try to figure out what is actually happening. In this issue, we do actually get to see the resolution of what is going on with this Ripper story, but we do kind of open up a bigger giant can of worms at the end. And so therefore, I have to say, Steve Orlando, if you do not keep going and give us more of what all of that means, I'm going to be very sad, because I want to know. I am so invested in the little teasers of information you left as breadcrumbs to leave the book open. So give them to us. In Bloom, issue 4 from Boom Studios. This is a really weird sci-fi book that kind of leaves you like squirming a little bit when you read it in the best way, because it is about a world where essentially humans have started sprouting into plants. They do what they are calling blooming, and essentially you of different varying degrees turn into some kind of plant. And the people who don't turn into plants are treated very poorly. And there is a police officer who is trying to figure out what is going on, because a lot of mysterious murders and things have been happening, and he thinks that it is because of a secret society of bloomed people who are up to no good. And so he has been on this investigation with his partner, who has actually bloomed, and they are deep into the throes of it now inside of the secret society house, and they are trying to figure out exactly what has been going on and how to stop the dangerous things that these people are up to. Honestly, my favorite thing in this issue, though, is there is a group of people who, like the security guards, are watching a TV show, and it's just Big Brother, essentially, but it's for people who haven't bloomed yet, and so they get to, like, vote off somebody, like, to go be incinerated because they're not bloomed, based on whether, like, all the Big Brother kind of things, and the only way you get immunity is if you bloom. It's crazy. It's wild. Anyway, you should check it out. And I told you I was going to take another drink when we got to it to see how the wine blooms. So I am going to take a drink of this Elm Tree Malbec and see what it tastes like now. That is so much spicier. Holy cow. That definitely bloomed out. Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah, that is a nice spicy wine. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So rule of thumb, if you buy Elm Tree, aerate it for an hour before you drink it, because then you get all the full spices of the wine, and you're not going to want to miss those, because that is... we've got Borderlands, Moxie's Mysterious Memento issue 4 from Dark Horse and the Borderlands game universe. This has been just a fun little adventure that kind of feels like you're on a side quest in a video game. Basically, Moxie challenged all of the a bunch of characters from the game to go and find a mysterious statue, like that was a memento that she really loved, and the person that like went with it. And so we get a team up of a bunch of Borderlands characters who have been on this adventure, who kind of cross paths with a bunch of bad guys that you would face in the video game as well. And they, in the last issue, they found the relic that they were supposed to find, and they opened it up, and it was like this giant hawk bird, like, mech thing that just started attacking them, and it's up to them to kind of figure out what that is and how, like, why it's valuable to Moxie, and it actually ends up being a really cute story in the end, and, like, the value of the thing comes in a very different way, and I kind of love it. And it does set up that we're going to get some more Borderlands stories coming our way soon, so if you're a fan of the Borderlands video games and you are kind of like, I miss having that in my life, there's going to be some more stories coming your way. Squish and Squash, issue 4 from Keenspot. I'm just really excited that Squish and Squash are back because it's been a minute since we had an issue, but this is about two animal alien kind of guys that work for an international space organization that's just like kind of like space cops. They go around and they solve mysteries and they stop bad things from happening, and they get an assignment in this issue because the Rat King of New York planet, essentially the Rat Planet is just New York City, which is hilarious, they are being overrun by the Fly King, who is trying to take over their planet and by stealing all of their trash. This honestly and truthfully sounds like a story that would have been made up in one of our kids' comic creation workshops, because there's a Rat King that's kind of just William Shatner in Star Trek, and that lives in New York City as a planet, and a fly that wants to steal all his trash, because that's how they gain power in the fly world, is by having all the trash, and they need Squish and Squash to come and help them, and the rat leader gets kidnapped, and so it's up to Squish and Squash to solve the entire mystery on their own. And it's adorable and it's fantastic, and there's random mind control in the situation, and seriously, like, the kids in my workshop would die for this book because this is totally their kind of style of humor and storytelling, and it should be yours too because it's really cute. Vampiro Rockabilly Apocalypse issue 4 from Massive Comics. It's been kind of a delay for this, and I'm glad we finally got back to it with the distribution shuffle. But this is about a guy who is a podcaster, and for a music podcaster, and is really obsessed with this particular story of this one musician who has been around forever, and it's like, oh, this guy's a vampire. And in his attempt to figure out whether or not the guy really is a vampire, he actually gets sucked up in this whole adventure with the guy actually being a vampire. And there's this secret society of nuns who are the ones who are supposed to like keep evil at bay, and so they've been trying to take this vampire out. But the thing of it is that he's not evil. He's actually a good guy, but they can't like differentiate between that because they're just like, well, that's not what it says, and we take out all evil. And so they've been being attacked by these nuns over the last couple of issues that have been hunting them down on their motorcycles. And we finally kind of get the climax of all of that and the big battle with that, and some new players that come into the game that kind of arrived at the end of issue 3 come up to start to actually make some big plays in this issue. And so if you're just looking for a fun action story with some vampires and some crazy nuns, that's going to be the story for you. Jim Henson Presents issue 3 from Boom Studios and the Archaea imprint. This is an anthology of stories that we get from just different properties that Jim Henson has created. And so we actually get 2 Dark Crystal related stories in here. One is about a gelfling who is going to have to go out on an adventure, and her partner is like, can see the future essentially, and is like, I don't think that you should be doing that. I don't think you should help the Skeksis. I think that there's something dark and dangerous is coming our way, and I know you say you always make it back to me, but I have this feeling that at some point none of us will make it home. And it's just kind of this really beautiful story though, about love and also about the power of hope, which is just this big thing about how we have to keep, even if things get really, really bad, the one thing that like runs through everything is the hope, and it's part of the thread of life, and we need to just focus on that and follow that thread. And it's just really very Jim Henson-esque. And then the second story is just a fun story in the world of Labyrinth, as some fun Labyrinth characters are going after a honking bird that is annoying all of them, and it's just hijinks ensue as that story unfolds. And then the third story in there is our ongoing story of from the Dark Crystal world, and it is about if you know the Dark Crystal, you know that like the one became 2 with the Skeksis and the Mystics. Thank you. I always forget. the Skeksis and the Mystics separated, and this is about two of them that were one and that are now like kind of having their own problems as injuries and things are happening to them in age, and just them equally relying on gelflings and just kind of seeing how the gelflings respond to each of them and how the world is changing. And we get to actually hear about the like scientists going bad from the Skeksis and stuff like that, and it just makes me want to watch the Dark Crystal prequel again. And then the last story is from the Fraggle Rock universe, and it's very, very classic Fraggle Rock in that Red is hungry and wants to eat what the little guys are making, doozers, because they do things, but they also bulldoze things. And they're trying to wait until the doozers are done, and so they decide to read a letter from Uncle Traveling Matt. And it's about Uncle Traveling Matt going to a grocery store and how they've just put radishes in bags and nobody has to wait for food, and how it's fascinating to him. And so, yeah, it's just cute. It's fun. As with all things Jim Henson, you just walk away feeling warm and fuzzy and inspired to make the world a better place. And the Uncle Traveling Matt of it all is adorable. Frankenstein, New World, issue 3 from Dark Horse and our Hellboy universe. This is one of those Hellboy stories where you don't actually have to know anything about Hellboy. But this is about Frankenstein's monster. He is helping a young girl get to a place where she can kind of find this hope for this new world and this magic that she needs to do it. And as they've been trying to get away from the evil that is chasing them, they've ended up on an island. And the island the people are so kind and everything's wonderful, but they can't actually go into the water because there are these sirens in the water that are attacking them. And Frankenstein's monster is trying to figure out a way to get down there and talk to the sirens on the people's behalf. And the young girl has figured out that there is a darkness in the water that is possibly controlling them, and it may not be the sirens' fault. And so the two of them are working together to try to figure out how to talk to this dark entity that is trying to ruin everything. The Loose End, issue 3 from Titan Comics and the Hard Case books. This is such a great, ridiculous story. This is about a guy whose best friend has become an actor and is in all those like bro movies, and he's going on an adventure, like on a vacation, the bachelor party for the producer of all their movies, who kind of, you know, calls him his guys because he always hires the same guys in every movie. And they're like, we're gonna go to Mexico and we're gonna do wild stuff. And the friend is brought in and is told like by some some big like Don of a mafia family, and he's like, hey, I need you to kill him while y'all are in Mexico, make it look like an accident, he better not come back or I'm gonna come after you. And he's like, okay, I don't, you know, like, I'll do my best. And then while they're down in Mexico, they think that they're cool dudes who are gonna go and like score some stuff, and they end up trying to rob the cartel and getting in some shootouts. And now they think that they're all like super powered and like awesome dudes who just have all these skills because they've played them in movies, and it turns out they're just actors who are stupid, and they're getting themselves in a lot of trouble. And this is kind of like The Hangover meets like Reservoir Dogs, if you had to put something on it. Like, it's a wild, crazy, ridiculous thing, and we're gonna see if any of them actually make it back, because now the cartel is mad at them and coming after them. Died Hard, issue 3 from Keenspot. If you've ever wanted to see the Easter Bunny get angry in a John Wick style story, this is the book for you. The Easter Bunny is trying to actually save a father and daughter who the little girl actually believes in him, and they've been kidnapped by some bad people who are trying to steal the Easter Bunny's like special basket and the like special eggs that he has. And he's been tied up and like kind of beaten while they're trying to, like, these mob bosses are trying to get their stuff out of him. And the Easter Bunny decides in this issue that, you know, if somebody believes in him as much as this little girl does, then maybe it's time he stands up and he fights for her. And he just loses it. And it is the most brutal you will ever see the Easter Bunny. And it's so cute. in a way, because he like was adamant he didn't want to be the Easter Bunny anymore, and like this is the story they told about like an Easter Bunny wanting to quit, and I feel like there's like look at this is like the Easter Bunny wanted to quit, and then it's like, oh no, now I have to like avenge these people and like save them, and it's so ridiculous, and I love it so much. Darkwing Duck issue 3 from Dynamite and their Disney line. This is a new launch of Darkwing Duck, a little mini reboot, as it were. And in this issue, Darkwing is supposed to be, he's decided he's going to write his autobiography, and Gosling tells him it's kind of boring and that he should start with something better. And so we are getting a story that is very much the like Darkwing Duck Begins. It's essentially like Batman Begins, but with Darkwing Duck, so it's absurd. And so he has gone and climbs up to this like high atop the thing secret society of martial artists to learn martial arts, and he's not accepted into it. He's only allowed to essentially be like the cleaning person until he earns his spot into it. And part of it is because they don't want to train him because he's egotistical and hot-headed and all the things that we know about DW already. And he has to learn his lesson, and he has to learn how to be a better person and to be a better listener and not react as fast. And it is quite hilarious how he actually gets to that. Let This One Be a Devil, issue 3 from Dark Horse and Tiny Onion, James Tynion's imprint, and this is James Tynion writing this. This is all about the Jersey Devil and the story beyond that. And so this is, I said it's James Tynion writing it, but he actually might just be coming up with a script. Yeah, he is just coming up with the script. He is a co-writer on it. But anyway, he is, this is the story of how the Jersey Devil came to be. And so we're kind of in the early 1900s, and it's a family that's dealing with the fact that sightings of this devilish monster are actually appearing all around their community. And it's like, oh, is this really a monster? Is it something that people are making up? And the older son has come home because the father has passed away, and him and the younger son have a massive like disruption between them. And we kind of see in this issue why that is. But we also kind of see like the people believing that the Jersey Devil is out there, and the crazy stories that are coming. And it's like, okay, nobody needs to go out into the woods and hunt for it, though, because if you're all out hunting for the monster, you're going to just end up like shooting yourselves and attacking each other because you're going to scare yourselves with it. And we see that the younger sibling kind of falls into that trap with his friends and is like, okay, well, I'm going to go out there and do it. And where is that going to lead them if they actually do make that effort and like go out there? We're going to see. The thing about this is, much like Blue Book, when James Tynion did that, we have backup stories of other weird things happening. And so we do get a backup story in here that's just about this woman who has a very mysterious past and the ways that that impacts the town around her as she makes different mysterious things happen. Jump Scare issue 3 from Dark Horse. This is all about a girl who, when a strange occurrence happened, a lot of people were suddenly given superpowers, and this girl who was obsessed with horror movies ended up getting the superpower of being able to call on any weapon from a horror movie she wanted, and kind of just having like a little bit of extra like life given to her. Well, she was a part of an extremely religious family, and they didn't like her already, and then her superpower just kind of made them hate her even more, and so she's been kicked out and ostracized by her family. But now they come crawling back to her because her sister, who is their golden child, has been kidnapped by someone, and they know that the only person who can go out and save the sister is Jump Scare. And so she has to make up her mind whether or not she's actually going to do it, because she doesn't want to save her family, she doesn't want anything to do with them, but at the same time she loves her sister just enough, and finds herself in a very dangerous situation in this issue. Godzilla Heist issue 3 from IDW. What if you took Ocean's 11 and mixed it with Godzilla? That's what you're going to get in this world. And so this is about a guy who is known for his heisting skills and is like an overthinker, like the planner, the Danny Ocean of it all. And he has figured out a way to get Godzilla to come into the area that he's going to rob. He has not necessarily figured out a way to like control that once he's there, but he's got enough of a situation down where he's been able to do a lot of jobs in the past. And a group of criminals come to him and they're like, hey, we've got a really big job. We need you for it. And we find out that they're like, we're going to take you. We're going to force you to be a part of it. And it's, I'm sure the Godzilla page because Godzilla's cool. And we think that, they think that they've captured him and they've brought him into this. But in reality, he's wanted them to do that because the very thing that they are stealing is something that belongs to his people and his culture. And that his mom was a part of. And that's very important to him that he promised he would always get to bring back. And so he's kind of double-crossing the team in order to get that. There's more double-crossing that happens in this issue. There's people on all sides. Stuff is getting wild and crazy. And at the same time, Godzilla seems to be a little out of control. And so we're going to see if they can hold it together long enough to do what they need to do. The Creeping Below, issue 3 from Boom Studios. This is a very dark, very crazy story about a girl who finds herself in some very big danger because she goes to see this extremely like black metal, death metal band that she loves, and she goes out into the woods with them, and they essentially sacrifice her to the god that they believe in. And that's all like in the first couple of pages of issue 1. And now she has come back from wherever she was. But the thing is that she didn't come back in the same way, and she didn't come back just to come back. There is the spirits of the forest that she has been sacrificed to have certain demands of her that they expect her to complete. And she gets those in this issue and is kind of trying to figure out exactly like where this world is leading her and what's going to happen as the story unfolds. Pop Kill issue 3 from Mad Cave. And my buddy Jimmy Palmiotti that I got to do a panel with yesterday at SiestaCon. This is such a wild, crazy book. This is basically about a war between two soda companies and a third one that thinks it's competing but isn't really. And these two soda companies are run by two brothers who we learn a lot about their past in this issue, which is wild. And one of them has a woman who works for them that's a scientist that has figured out how to make essentially carbonation never in on a soda, and so it'll always stay a fizzy drink. And the other one wants to get that skill away from them because he thinks that once that exists, there's going to be no other soda that matters. You know, nobody's going to want to drink anything else. Why would you drink a flat soda when you can drink a constantly fizzy drink? And so he hires his assassins to basically go out and find this woman and bring her over to his side, no matter the cost and no matter the situation. And he does go out and try to find her, but he ends up kind of falling for her at the same time. And she thinks it's all a ploy to steal her and make her, put her in a dangerous situation. So she goes back to work only to get caught by the people and them to basically be like, we're going to kill you. Once you complete the soda, we're going to kill you, but you must complete the soda and don't delay or we'll kill you anyway. And so he's now on this mission to try to figure out how to save her. Meanwhile, like all the soda companies are like, you have to get her for us. And you have to get her for us. It's wild. It's crazy. It's an action story in the truest sense. And you should check it out for sure. Monkey Meat issue 3. This is from Image Comics and Junibot, and this is an anthology of just how crazy could you make a conversation about Upton Sinclair's The Jungle and modern corporations blending together. And so this first story is called Eat, Pray, Run, and it is about a woman who just wants to get the perfect upgrade. She's like, there's always something that can make you better. You can buy an app that will help you like lose weight. You can buy an app that will make you download something that makes your body look better. You can get plastic surgery. And she's constantly trying to find the perfect way to do just that, and she doesn't want to miss out on a single upgrade. And as that unfolds for her, it does not end well for anybody involved. And then there is an interview between the company's AI, and it's kind of just a nice little commentary on AI and the people that rely on it. It's very fascinating. And then there is another story, which is My Credentials, and it's about a person who wants to be the guardian of the business, and is talking about like their experience as being a guardian in the past and where that could take them, and we just kind of see what that does for them. I love this book solely for the fact that it's on newsprint and it smells really good, but also I just really love Junibau's storytelling and his commentary. It's always funny and profound at the same time. The Herculoids, issue 3 from Dynamite. This is all about the Herculoids cartoon, the Hanna-Barbera show. It's bringing that back in comic book form, which is about a family who lives on a planet, and they were chosen as the guardians of this planet, which happens to have every single resource anybody could possibly have. And so people are always trying to get onto this planet and steal its resources, and that is no different from where we are right now. And the leader of the family has gone off to kind of figure out what's going on with a group of aliens that have crash landed onto the planet and have been trying to destroy it. And while he is doing that, some other things go down with the family that kind of leads to them also being in a situation where we've got to make some decisions on how to fight the mole men and what the mole men are up to, and some mysterious stuff that is found underground. And so we're just kind of starting to open up the world of the Herculoids to see what exactly is there as this third issue comes through. Silverhawks, issue 3, also from Dynamite, also bringing back a classic cartoon. This is we're doing it a little different this one, where a lot of the cartoon books have been like, we're just bringing back your favorite story. This one is we're in the future. The Silverhawks are like the old team. They've been retired for like 30, 40 years at this point, and their greatest bad guy, Monstar, has been broken out of prison and is now trying to come back and take over, and they need to essentially recruit a new team of Silverhawks, and they haven't been able to successfully do that just yet. They've only gotten a couple people who are just now starting their training, and when Monstar comes and is actually starting a fight between them, they realize that their team isn't ready, and the old team tries to step in and save the day, and we kind of see whether or not they're able to still handle their fight that they need to jump into, or if it's going to be up to the new guys as the time goes on. Pin-Apocalypse, issue 2 from Massive. This is putting a zombie apocalypse in the 1950s, but it would be more like if you put it in the movie Crybaby than the actual 1950s. It's about a girl who is named Foxy, and it's her birthday, and she's so excited, and she decides to go downtown to a department store or dress shop and buy a beautiful dress. And while she's in the fitting room, a zombie apocalypse breaks out, and she's has no idea. And when she goes out to go to her car, she realizes all this is happening. Meanwhile, Roxy, who is the girl that's from the other side of the tracks, essentially, is the only other person around, and is like, hey, you gotta get out. We gotta get out of here. We gotta get some help. And so the two girls team up, and they're like, we got to figure out where we're going to go. And they decide to go to Foxy's house because she thinks it'll be safer there, only to find out that there is going to be some zombie problems all the way through the town. And these two are possibly going to be stuck together a little bit longer than they intended as the zombie apocalypse starts to unfold. We're taking everyone down with us, issue 2 from Image. This is a massive story that Matthew Rosenberg is building, but this is all about essentially a villain who was like the ultimate villain in this like superhero world, and he's allegedly retired or lost to the world, but he's actually living on an island and still evil scientisting it up. And he has a young daughter who kind of just lives her life with all the robots that he's created for her. Well, one of the other villains has figured out that he is on this island and has decided to come for him. And so a group of mercenaries comes onto the island and attacks everything. But they don't know that she exists. And so they think that they're just taking these aliens out and then needing to go after the scientist's dad. They have no idea what this little girl is, that she exists nonetheless, like what she's up to, and that she is actually the one that controls all these robots. And so we get a little bit of like almost a Home Alone-esque kind of issue out of this as she is trying to make her way through the island and figure out what's going on, but she has no idea that her dad is this evil scientist. Like, she's only just started to realize that. And so she's not prepared for this. Meanwhile, like, the villain society is like, oh wow, we didn't know this guy was still alive. We should go after him and save him because he's kind of like, you know, the once former like highest villain. And they can't do it with a unanimous vote, and one person, a unanimous vote, and one villain votes against saving him. But we see different villains try to decide if they're going to actually make a play for saving him or not. You'll Do Bad Things, issue 2 from Image Comics. This is a news story from Tyler Boss that is still unfolding in some really strange ways. Basically, it's about a writer who is known for his like true crime books, and everybody loves them. And it's like, oh, he kind of solves some mysteries just by him doing his stories, and so people, like, he's a huge celebrity, and people can't wait for his next book. But he's decided that he doesn't want to do crime stories anymore. He wants to do a romance novel, and so he's been stuck for like a decade on trying to make this like massive and perfect romance book, and everybody keeps like hounding him for the next one of his murder mysteries. Meanwhile, there's actually a bunch of murders going on, and everybody's like, what's the connecting piece? What's going on? Who is actually behind these murders? And we're not really 100% sure ourselves, but there is kind of this thought that he might be the only person that could piece it together, and maybe they're kind of similar to stuff that he does in his books. And is he responsible for them? It's kind of one of those things we were supposed to be led to believe at some points, but we also see in this issue that might not be the case. But who is behind it and what is going on? I couldn't tell you. I have no idea. And so, but we're only 2 issues in, and we're going to figure that out, I'm sure, as the story goes on. Dark Pyramid, issue 2 from Mad Cave. This is going to be a wild story. This is all about a woman who, her boyfriend is a podcaster who climbs mountains and like investigates weird things. And he's trying to do a mountain climb, and he just suddenly goes missing. And all of the people on social media are watching it live as it happens, and nobody knows where he went and what went down, but he was live on the internet. And so she goes to the place that he went missing, and there's all these people there that are trying to figure out how to find him. The police are really strange and shady and don't want to help her. But then suddenly in the middle of the night, they're like, you know what? We know there's no hotels. Why don't you just go stay at this cabin? The owner usually books it out. And while she's sleeping, a mysterious person breaks into the house and is like, hey, you have to run. You have to run right now. And this weird, creepy monster thing shows up. And now they are on the run from this monster. We learn in this issue what this monster is. A little bit. We kind of learn what it connects to, and we learn about the Dark Pyramid and what that might be, and we learn that we are going to have to investigate it if we want to actually solve this mystery, find her boyfriend, and at this point survive. Crush Depth, issue 2 from Mad Cave. This is a underwater mystery, sci-fi, terrifying experience for everybody. Basically, the world, we destroyed the world, and a bunch of people are now living underwater in this submarine, trying to find the first like safe space that they can come up to the world again. And they find their first signs of human life, and also good quality, like possible plant control and air that they could potentially breathe. And so they go to investigate this other submarine and the alert that they're getting, and some weird stuff happens. They end up bringing a sample back from what they find on it, and that unleashes some monstrous, disastrous experiences for them. I like this book because it goes back and forth between like before it happened, the same day, and like then like where we're like at like the extreme point of things. And so we're eventually going to get to where like this crazy stuff starts to happen more and more, but they're still just kind of teasing us with it like every and then jumping back. And so it's wild, but we're at the bottom of the ocean, so things are going to get bad real fast. Bitter Root, issue 2. This is the newest volume of Bitter Root. If you've never read it before, please go back and grab the trade paperbacks and read it, because it's a multi-Eisner winning story for a reason. But this is about a group of people, a family specifically, that has been around during the civil rights movement, and they are fighting for not only their civil rights, but also against some dark demonic creatures that seem to be taking over the people who don't want them to have civil rights. And so they have been fighting against these monsters for a really long time. And they've always kind of been fighting in Alabama. And this volume is taking them to Mississippi, where a group of freedom fighters have gone missing. And so they are being sent out there to kind of figure out what's going on. And even the FBI agents that they are partnered with don't actually care about their opinions or trust them to know what they're doing. And so we're kind of seeing some more of that segregation and racism, and how it's really going to hit against their ability to fight the monsters, which are also segregation and racism. So if you haven't read it yet, seriously, there's a reason it wins all the awards. Robot Todd Part 2 from Floating World Comics. If you just want a really fun, off-the-wall, like, almost feels like a zine anthology story about a cute robot, this is another great one to pick up. This is, there is a wizard who is after a robot named Todd, is trying to capture him, and so we are following Todd as he tries to go on his adventures to get away from that. And so we are really just kind of encountering all of the things Todd encounters, and he's constantly on the move. And so we see him interact with like different rat people, we see him interact with some monsters, we see him interact with some humans, underwater world. And so it's just some of the pages, like, there's really a lot like going on like story wise, and some of the pages there's a lot going on art wise. So it's a fun book to bounce back and forth through, and you get this really cool wraparound cover. And so, yeah, I love looking at the art in Robot Todd. It just kind of, it feels like I said, it feels like a little zine that you can go on a fun adventure. Who Are the Power Pals? Issue 2 from Dark Horse. You know, sometimes people don't need to be superheroes, and this is one of those situations. This is about two guys who were supposed to be, like a new Batman and Robin kind of situation as child actors, and the show never got off the ground, and all the like merchandise and everything like that they had, it just all got canceled. And so they went from being the potential to be the biggest thing in the world to being washed up actors who can't get jobs in any capacity. And recently they got in a fight down in front of the Chinese theater in LA, and while they were down there, they were wearing their old costumes, trying to just you know, get some people to maybe want to take their pictures so they could score some money. And the video went viral, and one of them realized he really wanted to just be a hero, and that's what he had always wanted when he took on that role. And so now he just kind of wants to be a superhero. The other one realizes it's a great way to just make money. I love that we have like their adventures of the things they're doing is actually done in like flip over comic strip form, which is really cool. But their old agent has come back to them and is kind of leading the one who wants to make money down the path to try to get it. And so in this issue, they break onto the studio lot, and they're trying to find all of the other props that they had from when they were on the show, so that maybe they could use them to help them in their quest to, whichever quest, whether it's to be famous or to be a hero. And we learned that not all the props are actually props, and there is a bigger underbelly to their world than they even know about. Our Brilliant Ruin Horror at Crane Mansion, issue 2, from Dark Horse. And this is also a game that, this is a story that connects with it, or a podcast, or both. Yes, it's a role-playing game and a podcast and a story now. But this is very much a supernatural Agatha Christie kind of story. It follows a woman who is a supernatural investigator, and she's brought into kind of just, I guess she's really mostly just kind of supernatural, but also just an investigator in general. And she's brought in because a woman is supposed to choose a husband for her like debutante daughter, and she wants to make sure that like nobody is going to steal the fortune, and nobody, like, she wants somebody to kind of vet the people at this party. And in the process of the party happening, there is a murder, and that murder seems to have some kind of supernatural elements to it. And so now she's kind of gone from Agatha Christie to Sherlock Holmes very quickly. And in this issue, she is like, everybody has to stay here. We must lock the doors. And all of these rich people are very angry and because they're like, I shouldn't have to be trapped in there. I shouldn't be held prisoner. And it's like, oh, well, now you're not only trapped in there with a possible murderer, but you might be trapped in there with a monstrous creature. And we're going to see how that rolls out. Far Down Below, issue 2 from Mad Cave. This series kind of started with like a crazy big bang because we have a story about a man in the 1800s who digs a tunnel thinking that like he's going to prove the hollow earth theory and discovers a lot of interesting weird things that we don't know what they are. And then it fast forward to the 80s, and then we are following 2 young boys who are kind of just trying to figure out like, you know, what to do with a rainy day in their lives. And they decide that they're going to go over to the old creepy house, which just happens to be like the one boy's grandfather's old creepy house in a place that he's like spent time before in his life. And so they go to investigate the house, and the house starts to catch on fire, gets struck by lightning, some bad things happen, and the kids have to like run out, but the only way out is down, and they end up in the exact tunnel that the ancestor had dug. And now because of the fire, they find themselves stuck in the tunnel with this mysterious man that's living down there, and they are going to figure out like what kind of weird mysteries and monstrous creatures lie far down below, and why is their family so connected to all of this. Plague House issue 2 from Oni Press. Man, twists and turns and things had happened. This is not what I thought this book was going to be about when issue 1 came out. But this is essentially a story of 3 people who run a podcast show that's all about going into houses that are haunted and cleansing them of all of the ghosts and darkness that is within there. But we learn in this issue that every time they cleanse a house, somebody, like the survivor of the house is, like, dies. So, like, oh, there's people murdered in this house, and, like, then the murderer dies that's, like, still in prison, and it's, like, a mysterious thing. And that keeps happening, and they don't really know what's going on. Meanwhile, like, the team is very different. Like, the one guy who's the leader, he is, like, very much, like, showmanship, and, oh, we just got to sell it, we got to push it higher, we got to, like, make it a big thing. And then we've got the girl that doesn't believe, but she's the videographer, and she actually has probably the best side of all of them, even though she's like, I don't really believe in this. And then we have a priest that believes it's all demons, and he wants to exorcise them. And the guy, our main character, goes on an interview in this issue, or the main leader of the team, he goes and does an interview, and he kind of negates the value of the other 2 members of the team. So they quit the podcast, and we kind of see what that fallout looks like, while also discovering again that there is more going on with this mysterious ghosty situation. Adventure Man Family Tree issue 2 from Image Comics. This is the latest installment in the Adventure Man world, and we are following the young girls that are training in the Adventure Man universe to kind of become the next latest and greatest in that world. And each issue of this seems to be following a different part of the family tree, which is like one of the original members of the Adventure Man connecting with one of the new girls. And in this one, our new girl connects with Sally Sweet, who is the aviator and like the big kind of adventurer of the, like, an inventor and, like, fix it, I guess, more the mechanic of the Adventure Man world. And so we get to see Sally's story and how she became a pilot, and all of the ways that she was always the big mechanic, and how that kind of connects to what the people need now in the Adventure Man world. And it's cool to see the way they balance out, like, the old stories of the characters that we haven't really seen, and the new stories of all the different characters that are connecting into the world. And they're just always fun. So if you're just looking for a fun adventure, Adventure Man is here for you. Mouse Guard, Dawn of the Black Axe issue 2 from Boom Studios and Archaea. If you haven't read Miles Guard, they actually just did a facsimile of the very first issue that came out this week. But this is the story of a little mouse that is just trying to save his people. And in the first issue, an old man came and said he had been working on an axe to kind of avenge his family that was killed by the snakes. And as he worked and worked and worked forever, by the time he finished the axe and it was strong enough, he was no longer strong enough to lift it. And so he needed somebody to go out and do it for him. And our mouse guard promised to do just that. And so now he's been on this quest trying to kill the snakes. But the thing is that for every snake he kills, it seems like 4 more are born. And now he has been spending all of his time working on this. And we are going to see where that takes him, because his adventure seems to be getting bigger than he ever expected it to be as he journeys. Thundercats Lost issue 2 from Dynamite. This is following a different group in the Thundercats universe. It goes back in time to where Lion-O's father knew that a war was coming and was worried that the people of Thundara would have to leave. And so he challenges a group of people to take the Book of Omens and go out and try to actually find a new space that they can build a new Thundara. And they do go to Third Earth, which is where the Thundercats in our time now are. And so they're out there and they're trying to investigate like what's going on and see if there's any space there. And they're coming across different monsters and beings and things like that as they try to figure out how to work together, because this group of people has never been a real team before, and they're all kind of challenging like who should be the leader. And so they're not even doing their job very well, because they're all just kind of fighting over who should be in charge and why, and learning to support each other. And I can't wait to see how this connects to the actual Thundercats, because we always hear in the primary Thundercat story that there's like, oh, there's a lot of remnants of Thundarians here, and it's like, where are they, and like why are they here, and how did they get here? And I think that's going to connect at some point soon. Lost Fantasy issue 1. This is from Image Comics' new book. It's probably the only copy I have. This is about this is actually, if you enjoy something that's killing the children, but you want it to be more magic based and monster based, this actually might be a good one to pick up. Because it is very similar in that there are monsters and things, but there is a group of people who are kind of trained to use magic to fight against it. And they also build for, I think there's 5 houses or something like that throughout the world, where they train different people to actually see, like have the sight to see the monsters and have the ability to fight them. And we are following this boy who was discovered by one of the original founders of one of the houses, the leader of all of the people. He found this young boy who was kind of imbued with all of the old magic that nobody had ever seen before, and was like, I'm going to take him in and I'm going to train him. And now that kid is now an adult, and he is working as an investigator for this group of people. And he goes out and actually is supposed to be solving a mystery, and there's something going on in a small town very similar to Something's Killing the Children, where he shows up and he has to lie and say like he's an agent for the FBI, and the sheriff doesn't want him there, and he's like, I might be like, I'm just gonna be in and out, let me do my investigation. And as he's doing his investigation, he finds out that there are some monstrous creatures in the area, and they might not just have been there, like who knows if they were already there and would attack the kids, or if it is somebody that is coming specifically after him. And so we are just unfolding a very big universe in this very first issue. The Slasher's Apprentice, issue 1 from Mad Cave. This is about a boy who seems like maybe teenage years, maybe early 20s. And when he was a child, he saw his parents get killed. Or he hid in a closet, I guess I should say, while somebody broke in and like murdered the parents. And they kind of like grow up obsessed with the concept of of murderers, and like they run their own podcast for murderers and are like just evaluate everything they do, and serial killers, and it's kind of just becomes focused on this one serial killer who seems to pop up every once in a while over time, and it's like, oh, it's been like 153 murders or whatever, and now they seem to be back, and so they start investigating that murder just to kind of like that person specifically, and are trying to figure out like how they could possibly find them and see where that's gonna go. I think you have an idea because the book is very self-explanatory in the title, but we'll see. Godzilla versus America. This is the Godzilla versus Los Angeles issue. And this is from IDW. The funding from buying this book all does go to help the book industry's charity, and help bookstores and people, bookstore employees in LA who are affected by the fires. We have 4 stories in here. The first one is actually about 2 reporters who are trying to cover a Godzilla attack on Los Angeles, and they end up having to evacuate their helicopter, but they end up landing on Godzilla. And so they're actually trying to like cover the entire story of the Godzilla attack from the backside of Godzilla, which is pretty cool. And then we have another story in here, which is about a girl who essentially runs the studio backlot tour, like one of the trams at Universal Studios, and she's trying to make it into the world of acting, and she's very upset that she can't make it. And one day the director of essentially the Fast and the Furious movies gets on her tram, and she's like, this is my chance. And while she's doing her best work, Godzilla attacks the studio, and she's like, I have to keep these people alive so that maybe I can get a job. And then we get another story that is all about 2 people who are in a Godzilla attack that are trying to figure out how to survive. And one of them's like, oh my God, I should check this manual on how to survive a Godzilla attack by using the Los Angeles Underground. And it's this whole thing about how nobody knows that Los Angeles has a subway system and nobody uses it. And it's like the history of the subway system while also being like how to survive a kaiju attack in the subway system. It's actually my favorite story in there. It was hilarious and informative, and I love it. And then the last story in there is all about a girl who is a PA on movies, and she ends up, there's a Godzilla attack, and so she calls everybody she knows who are different people from the production industry side or engineers, and they end up coming up with a way to save LA and trying to figure out how to put it into production before it's too late to battle Godzilla. So just some fun stories for Godzilla fans, and they're going to be doing different cities around the country for like the next year or so. The Great Garloo, issue 0 from Oni Press. We've finished our first wave of all the different Nacelverse stories, and so we're kind of popping back to the beginning with the Great Garloo. And so if you remember the Nacelverse launch, his home planet had been had blown up, and he was going to, he had to find a new place to live, and he believes he's the last survivor. And he just kind of wants to find a way to live his life, and there is a competition that is essentially American Idol for all of space that opens up, and he decides he wants to go and try out for that with his best friend, Robot. And so this is a fun adventure of them trying to go through all the trials and tribulations it takes in order for them to jump onto this American Idol journey. And it also kind of does a little bit to set up where the Nacelverse will be going as that continues to grow at Oni Press. Snow Monkey, issue 1 from Red 5 Comics. This is a story about a girl who is a high school student whose father is kind of like the worst. He is the evil villain, and she's like, I don't have any assumptions that my father is not evil. I've always known my father was evil. It wasn't like a sudden thing. But she is the hero, the Snow Monkey, which is basically the bearer of the helmet that gives you the skill and power and knowledge of all of the people throughout their culture's history that have always had this, that have worn this helmet over the years. And in this story, she is being forced to go to a high school with a bunch of dangerous people and get some information and recruits for her dad for his evil plans, and Moonlight, I guess, as a superhero who is fighting against him as well. Lady Baltimore, The Daughters of Medusa, issue 1 from Dark Horse. This is also one of those Hellboy universe books that has absolutely nothing to do with Hellboy, and also is the coolest concept of the week, I think. I might have like a new like rabbit hole that I'm gonna fall down because of this, because this is all about Lady Baltimore, who kind of does like some, you know, paranormal investigation like most people in the Hellboy universe, and she gets called into a case where somebody was turned into stone, and they believe that it was a Gorgon that might have done it, and everybody's like, oh my god, we didn't know Gorgons were real. And she's like, yeah, they're actually a part of this society. And they're like, well, where do we go to look? And she's like, oh, the best place to go, since this is France, is to the castle that Marie Antoinette had built for her when she was the queen, because apparently Marie Antoinette was like secretly obsessed with Medusa and was possibly a member of a secret society of women who believed that Medusa was like a victim and asked for the gods' permission, like, our powers to curse, like, to be able to take out men, and which is not a secret society, but it should be, because there's a lot of women who believe that that's what really happened. Anyway, they have to go and they have to find out whether or not this secret society exists, and they have to face these Gorgons and kind of figure out like what's going on. And we find out that there's some stuff that these Gorgons are fighting against, and the Society of the Daughters of Medusa are acting, and they need Lady Baltimore's help in order to make it happen. And I really just want to find out if there is any truth to this idea that Marie Antoinette was obsessed with Medusa, and that's what that like estate, like what she did at that estate, because now I'm obsessed with that idea and I want it to be true. Super Science Chapter 0 from The Lab. I should have brought my buddy. The Lab is actually a new publisher that is going to be doing mostly graphic novels. This is a teaser for the graphic novel that will be coming out soon. And in this story, we basically learn that a bunch of people have been impacted by something that, you know, one of those mysterious occurrences, and now there's a bunch of really smart people who can do a lot of science things in a lot of different ways, and most of them use it for evil. Let's just be honest, that's not really surprising. Like, if we suddenly had a bunch of people get the ability to be super smart and have science skills, there'd be a lot of super villains that would pop up immediately. And we are following a couple different people, and one of them in here is the ultimate super villain. But one of them is this woman who kind of just gets hired to be a cat burglar, and she's like, look, I don't do like really bad things. I'll steal, but I won't. I won't kill people. And she gets dragged into a very mysterious situation that is going to kind of tie her into all of these big villains that she definitely doesn't want to be connected to. But I love her as a character, and I want her to be a big part of the graphic novel, and I hope she is, because she seems like our flawed character who also wants to make herself better, and she's like part cat, and I kind of love that. Anyway, they have this really great graphic novel at the Lab that's coming out that's called The Essentials, and it's got a little buddy, and I have this little buddy, and I snuggle him, and he's adorable. And so, but the graphic novel is yes, he's a puppet. Oh my god, I forgot he was a puppet for a second. He's so cool. I just like to snuggle him. But yes, he is a puppet. And the book itself is kind of like, it's a horror book, and it's dark and it's creepy, and he's adorable though. And I can't wait for that book to come out, and we will definitely have Super Science and The Essentials when they come out, because they both look really good, and the quality of the Lab's graphic novel work is so good. Blood and Thunder issue 1 from Image Comics. This is building up another big adventure world where we have some police drama going on. We are in a world in the future. I love this. This is a perfect illustration. We're in this world in the future where basically the higher you live, the more money and better your day is going to be, and the lower you live, you're literally getting crapped on. Like, they're like, oh, hey, watch out for the weather today. If you're on the bottom, just know that you're going to get literally crapped on today. And it's like, but it's going to be a nice, beautiful day for the people on the top. And so there is a guy who we think we're following this one guy who's going down to the bottom level, but it turns out that he's kind of just leads us to actually meet our main character, who is a girl that goes by Blood. She is a police officer, and she her gun is Thunder, and it's like a AI kind of gun weapon thing that talks to her. And the two of them are on this quest to just kind of clean up the streets. She's like the only cop that's actually just doing the regular beat work, and she wants to stay that way. And she's from the floor level, so she's like, I just want to help my people. I want to protect my people. Every other cop is dirty and bad. And she goes on, she's supposed to be picking up this criminal who's moving this big, mysterious load of stuff. And when she gets there, she brings it all in, and she actually finds out that, and let's see if I can find the picture. When she goes to talk to the chief, she actually finds out that they are all just this thing called books. And books haven't existed other than manuals for training and forever. And so she doesn't know what they are. And now she's like, is this really a bad thing? Like, that's not a drug. It's not a weapon. Like, why are we arresting him for having them? And what are they? And so we're going to see that unfold as she starts to figure out what books are. And I'm really excited to see where that's going to go.
It's Skybound?
It is Skybound. Mm-hmm.
Weird.
Yeah. It is Benito Cerno. Yeah. And yeah, I'm really curious to see, because I had no idea that it was going to be like about the books thing. And that's why I'm throwing that out there, because to me that changed the whole plot. I was like, oh yeah, underworld, like people, you know, cops, good cop, bad cop. But then I was like, no, it's about books being like a mysterious thing and contraband. I'm in. You got
more sci-fi Fahrenheit 451.
More sci-fi Fahrenheit 451. Yeah, or like The Giver or something. Any of those kinds of things. Vanishing Point. This is a one shot from Mad Cave and Mark Russell. It's Mark Russell, so it's gonna be great. But this is a crazy story about basically a guy who takes on a job where you have to go out into space and basically mine asteroids for all of the elements that we need for the corporations to sell and use for all the stuff. And basically, if you do it for 10 years, you get a ton of money. And your family is basically taken care of forever. But if you quit at any point in time, your family gets nothing. You don't get any of the money. Like, even like he gets hurt at one point, and they're like, oh, we'll add on 20% sickness bonus to your ending pay. So if you don't actually make it through, you don't even get the sick pay. And he's like, okay. And his wife is like, you're going to miss your kids' lives. You're going to miss all this stuff. Also, what if you go Ahab? And it's basically like all these people who have gone crazy is what they think. And he's like, they didn't actually go crazy. They went missing, or they died, and because you're out in space and you're by yourself and you're the only one that can fix it. And then he starts hearing mysterious screams, and all this wild, crazy stuff starts happening, and he starts asking if the leaders, the government, actually know anything about it. And they know some things, but I don't want to tell you anything else. Where it goes from there is, it's a one shot, so the whole story is in there, and where it goes is somewhere I really only see Mark Russell taking us in that journey. And absolutely, if you want just a one shot of sci-fi, that's the one. Grab that book. Don't Run with Scissors, issue 1 from Keenspot. This is the latest from artist Stefano Cardacelli and writer Francesca Perillo, who did books like Love Me and why do I always forget the other one? Long Cold Winter. Thank you. I was like, why do I always forget it when I go to say it? And this is going to be their horror. You know, we had our romance, we had our sci-fi. Now we're doing some horror together. And basically, a police officer is, like a sheriff, is driving down the road. He sees this random girl out in the street, and she's cut up and crazy, and he takes her into the hospital. And then when he's like, it looks like somebody cut her with just a bunch of scissors all over the place. And so he takes her into the hospital. The hospital's trying to fix fix her. Meanwhile, he can't sleep. He has insomnia, and he starts having these weird visions. The hospital's like, you can interview her when you wake up, when she wakes up, and weird stuff. He's just seeing the craziest things. We have no idea what happened, like where this girl like has been, what's going on, and I want to show you the weird stuff. I don't want to show you the weird stuff because I don't want to spoil things, but I just think Stefano's art is always so cool and how weird it gets. You just gotta read it. These are always usually, like, when this team up happens, they're usually 4 or 5 issues, and they're always wild, crazy stories that you don't want to miss. Risk number 1 from Black Box Comics. This is a new world from Black Box that's going to be, I think, a really cool story. This is about a woman who has essentially like a psychic power, and kind of like an AI in her brain, and she is able to evaluate the risk on something and the probability of things. And so she runs an underground organization that helps people, put their bets on things and gamble and do all this stuff. And then, I mean, she's just essentially a bookie at that point. Like, and she goes after the people who don't win, and she's able to make sure her group like kind of wins off of stuff. But she kind of seems like a really cool character, honestly. Like, she's got a really great like design. I love the way she talks to the voice in her head, the one that does all the probabilities, and she kind of calls that risk, but everybody calls her risk, which is kind of cool. And they're let me see if I can find the page where they actually like go into her work, because it's so funny, because they're trying to sell people on gambling. Oh, this one. They're trying to sell people on gambling, and it kind of reminds me of that scene in Wolf of Wall Street where they're all like lying about the way you should invest in the stock market. It's almost the exact same scene as she's walking through the room, and like one person's like, well, I mean, we're not like a legitimate business, but like we can legitimately help you. And it's just funny, but we're also opening up like a big crime world that she's a part of, and we're already starting to see that there's some big people coming after her because of her ability to see what is going on. Captain Planet is back in issue 1 from Dynamite. We are going on some planeteering adventures to save the world. If you don't know Captain Planet, you're probably born in the 2000s. But Captain Planet is our hero, and he's going to get pollution down to 0. And the way he does that is he brings together a group of kids from around the world called the Planeteers, who get rings kind of like the Lantern Corps does, but each one of them signifies one power of the environment, essentially earth, water, air, wind. No, my air is wind. Earth, water, air, fire. And then heart, which is, of course, the most important, that brings it all together. And when the 5 of them unite, they are able to stand against anything. And so in this first issue, we mostly just meet the different Planeteers as they're being called forward for the first time, getting their power rings. But we do figure out that somebody is after Gaia, the spirit of Earth, the mother of it all, at the same time. And so that's why the Planeteers are being called up, because their job is to protect the Earth. All right, we've got Free Planet number 1 from Image Comics. This is a heavy book to get you started. This is going to build out a very big universe. Matt and I got to talk to Aubrey, the writer of it, and at Comics Pro, and he has so much planned for this world. And so this issue kind of gets you launched into it. But basically it kind of asks the question, like, if you could create a perfect planet like that was completely free, where there was nobody ruling over anybody and everybody worked together, like, is that even possible? And so this is the first planet that is free. And as they've built that out, they decide, okay, we've stopped all wars, all battles, everything is good, and now we're going to put like one group of essentially superpowered being kind of people in charge of overseeing that maintains forever. But in this issue, we're kind of bouncing back and forth between different places and different kind of conversations. Like, it's like, okay, well, the farmers, like, they all want to have, they need this stuff. and they need to know that when they mine out, like they grow out this food and they take it places, like where does it go and how is it fair that like these people get it, and what if somebody wants to come and try to steal their land and do this, and oh well, if nobody is in charge of this and somebody attacks us from another place, then how are we supposed to do it? And then okay, well, we have these robots and we have AI, and now it's becoming more and more sentient, it's becoming smarter, and what if they don't agree to the terms of the free planet, because now their brains are adjusting at a rapid rate, and maybe they think that they're like stronger than us and better than us and should be ruling. And meanwhile, you've got these people who are supposed to be in charge of all of it, and what's to stop them from being corrupt, Like, what's to say that those people aren't going to become problematic in and of itself? And we're already starting to see, like, some of that breaking down, like, in this very first issue. So, Aubrey's going to build out a very big world, and it's cool because you kind of feel a little like 90s action comic in between, like, some big world building at the same time, so... All right, I've got 3 picks for you really fast. First up is The End of Parliament of Rooks. This is issue 5 from Ablaze. It's one of those books when I got to the end, I was both like, oh man, the end, I don't want you to end. And I like took my time. Like I probably didn't finish reading all of the books today because I took my time reading this because I realized it was going to be the end. But also I like applauded when I got to the end because I loved it so much. But this is the story of a guy who is very much in love with this woman who just happens to be like the spirit of the moon. And his soul has essentially been promised to the devil. And we actually get to learn a lot about that more even in this issue. And he is becoming this giant like crow beast monster demon guy. Who is, again, promised to the devil to kind of take over. Like, he is supposed to become the new ruler of this underworld and this parliament of crows and blackbirds and stuff. It's wicked, awesome, and basically... over the course of the last 5 issues, he's kind of had all the points where he's tried to, like, find the stopping point and, like, try to, like, also, like, separate himself from the love of his life so that nothing terrible would happen to her. But she's like, nothing terrible can happen to me because I am the spirit of the moon. And I think that, like, we should be together no matter what. And we get this crazy, beautiful love story that's, like, just over all odds. We get to see, like, this dark... like demonic spirit, like kind of situation. We get to see in this issue the backstory of how he gets like cursed in this way and this world, and like also the future story of like what could be and what could happen between them. And it's just so good. I just love how much of a world they built for this. I cannot wait to be in trade paperback form because it's so good. I do believe we don't have issue 1 out at the moment, but I think we still have some. But it's absolutely fantastic. If you haven't read it yet, it's one of those, again, that's like you read a novel, you just read like a great fantasy story as you read it, and it's beautiful. The art is crazy, the color palette choices are so good, and the fact that you built like this beautiful dark gothic love story in the middle of all of it. It's really what it is. It's just gothic literature in comic book format. It's so good.
Anthony Pizza literally commented, a wonderful goth fairy tale.
It really is. All right, and every time there's a new monster book, it has to make it into there. But Los Monstros #1 from Dark Horse is out this week, and it is definitely a pick for everybody at Bat City this week. And for all the right reasons, because if you know Bat City, you know that we love the Universal monsters, and we love when they're used in storytelling devices, but we also love classic crime noir storytelling and great detective work. And this is both of those things with great art. I love that Matt just mouthed that as I said that. It's so true. We are following a detective who is trying to deal with, in this particular issue, he is actually trying to bring back, God, I love this double page spread of LA, because it's LA has become essentially, LA has become the city of monsters, which is like, why is Los Monstros? There's a border that's been built around it. All the monsters from around the world have come to live here. Everything is run by them. It's fantastic. You know, LA was never, I learned this in Godzilla versus Los Angeles. It was never supposed to have more than 3,500 people live in it. Because it was just supposed to be the place where Hollywood people work. So now we've got all these monsters living in it. You have to have a visa if you're human to even come into it. And our first mission is our detective saves a little kid, and then we get the great setup for the adventure that we're going to go on, because a man shows up and says he is looking for the long lost love of his life, who is a vampire, and he believes that she is there. And I love the setup of that, because you just kind of, there's just something like sincere and sweet about it, but you also know there's mystery to it. And we find out that our detective used to be a police officer, but he was discharged for allegedly being a dirty cop. But from what we can see, he is actually probably one of the only clean cops on the force. But I do love that the force is essentially run by the Bride of Frankenstein. Makes me happy. I'm going to be obsessed with this book for every single issue, so just be prepared to hear about it every time. I will warn you, Matt is also in. Santiago is also in. So you're just going to hear about this book every time you come to Bad City. Get ready and just start buying it now, because you're going to want to read it.
And Anthony says it's absolutely incredible.
And Anthony's in too. So guess what?
All of us.
Fantastic Awards are already probably going to be looking at Los Monstros. And lastly, I'm like so excited about this book, and I'm so surprised that I'm this excited about it. But Giant Size Wacky Race is #1 from Dynamite. I didn't think this was going to be the book. Most of the cartoon books have just been like really light, like I'm watching an episode of the cartoon. So I didn't expect this Hanna-Barbera themed cartoon book to be so good. But guess what, guys? It is so good. So it follows Penelope as she is trying to join the wacky races. She's really like on her own. Her sister has gone missing. She doesn't really know anything about like her family, so she's all just her, and she wants to be a race car driver because she was in a TV show about races, and that was always her thing, and she's kind of into it. And she enters into the wacky races and crashes out on the first page, and it like destroys her car and everything, but she still gets up and like runs the race, like literally runs the race. And they're like, okay, so she like goes back to just kind of being an influencer, and she's trying to find a way to raise money so that she can be back in the races. And they're like, well, why don't you just get corporate sponsorship? And she's like, because when I was a child, I was a child actor, and my mom sold my likeness and my name, and I had to sue to get my name back, and I will never sell my name or my integrity or my soul to anybody again, and I'm going to do this all on my own, and corporate sponsorship is the devil, and like, don't give in to corporations. And I was like, yeah, let's go. Where is this going? And then she ends up partnering up with a man who is known as perfect, and everybody wants him to be president. And she's like, I don't really want to endorse him for president. I don't really want to be a part of his political campaign or anything like that. But he is now in charge of the wacky races. And if he's going to help me get into them, like, I'll work with him. And she kind of just ends up on a media circuit while she's trying to develop the money to buy a new car and build a new car and get into the races again. And we see how that plays out. I mean, this thing goes into politics. It goes into like media bias and media persuasion. It goes into like what's wrong with corporations. It goes into like the cheating of all the sports stuff and how sports are like all seem a little rigged. It gives you a little bit of everything. And then you also get to the point where like you are also talking about how like even when men are like, oh, this is the best contestant in something about a woman, they actually are like, but because she's a woman and not like because she's the best contestant. It gets into a little of that. This is just, it's 10 out of 10. Like, I was so surprised at how good this was. I cannot wait to see if this book keeps that up the whole way through, or if this is it. I don't know. Let's see. Let me go back to, I'm like, it can't be the end because it just sets up a whole big world. But yeah, it is. It's the end for now. So I don't know, because it sets up a monstrous thing. So I hope that whatever the full series comes from, when the full Wacky Races series happens, I hope it maintains this fantasticness because so good. So surprised. Didn't expect it.
Do you want to bring that over really quick? Because that's impressive and incredible. No. Here you go.
Oh, yeah. So now that they're all done, I will see if I can pull it over. So this is everything we just talked about.
I can't even get it all on.
I know. It's a lot. It's a lot of books. And I didn't get to all of them, so some of them I'm actually going to talk about next week. But I feel like if I turn it the other way, you'll see how big the pile is, too. Look at that. It was, I think like 100 books or something like that I had to read. No biggie. I read them all today. It's totally fine. And I still remember what they're about. So I got to the point where I was really nervous that I wasn't. But there is a couple that I didn't get to. So I'm going to tell you really quickly about what I'm excited to talk about next week. But TMNT, The Best of Old Hob is out. This is one of those anthology collections of all the best stories of that character. My Little Pony has a new one-shot called Tournament of Mysteries. The last of the G.I. Joe silent missions came out this week, which was Duke. This goes in my pile to talk about next week because issue 2 of Red Sonja Attacks Mars is out. Once again, you get a cool trading card that matches it, and I'm really excited because Shay Stevens is writing these. Adventure Time number 2 is out this week. Teen Titans Go number 3. I have been waiting for the Space Ghost and Johnny Quest mashup. These two are meeting. I can't wait, and I didn't get to it, so I'm like ready to go back and catch up with that. Graveyard Club Fresh Blood. This is the new R.L. Stine, and you can see how thick it is, so you can see how I had to sacrifice it when I wanted to get there. And then the other one that I can't wait to read and talk to you about next week is Lookout. This is, only didn't make it today because this is a graphic novella. This is a massive prose style book, and I cannot wait to read that, but I ran out of time, hence why we started late today. But other books in stock, from your big two, you've got Secret Six number 3, Two-Face number 6, Storm number 8, Laura Kinney Wolverine number 6, and The Ultimate Wolverine number 5. Spider-Gwen hit issue 13. We've got the launch of the new Star Wars, and I believe it's Alex Segura writing it. Yep, who is also doing Dick Tracy right now. So this is Star Wars number 1. This goes from your free comic book day Star Wars book into this. Star Wars Hyperspace Stories. This is the Bad Batch issue 3, I believe. Yeah. Amazing Spider-Man has also already hit issue 3 for the new one. It is like every week right now. The Scorched issue 40, Resurrection Man issue 2, Poison Ivy issue 33, that book that was only supposed to be 6 issues long, keeps going. Thank you for continuing to support G. Willow Wilson's awesome series. JSA issue 7, Justice League The Atom Project issue 5, Fantastic Four Fanfare issue 1, the G.I. Joe Real American Hero issue 315, Deadpool issue 14, and issue 2 of Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe One Last Time. Captain America Sam Wilson issue 5. Absolute Green Lantern issue 2, which is Matt's favorite of the Absolute so far. Absolute Superman number 7. Black Canary Best of the Best issue 6. That's the wrap up of Tom King's Black Canary. Birds of Prey issue 21. And then we've got some great trades. The Sacrificers. This is volume 3. Yeah, volume 3 of issues 12 through 15. One of my favorite series on the shelf right now. You should definitely grab that. The Body Trade. This is the whole story from Mad Cave out, collecting issues 1 through 5. The Uncanny X-Men. This is the new X-Men story, the new Uncanny going on right now. This is those first 6 issues and some X-Men 35 material and the free comic book day 2024 story that connects to it. And so if you haven't picked up Gail Simone's Uncanny X-Men, grab that. Godzilla Rivals round 4, so the most recent round of Godzilla Rivals. Trinity Generations. This is going to collect the Trinity Tale from Wonder Woman number 3, as well as Wonder Woman 800, Wonder Woman 4 through 6, 8 through 13, the Trinity Special, and Trinity World's Finest. If you want to know about Wonder Woman's daughter and Tom King's newest character, check it out. Epitaphs from the Abyss issues 1 through 4 are collected in this new trade. It's technically the first EC trade since the Comics Code, like new EC trade technically, I believe. That's crazy. X-Men Homecoming. This is going to be X-Men 1 through 7 of the new Jed MacKay written X-Men story. And then the latest of the DC compacts is out with Kingdom Come. I know people have been really excited waiting for this one. These are $9.99, and they fit in a Loungefly or a regular backpack, but they fit in your Loungefly. This is the best travel size companion version of Kingdom Come, and so many other great ones, and they're still going. I know. Oh, I know. I went to. I had to wait and see where my wine was gonna land. I'd love to say that's all I have for you, but that was so many books that you're probably sitting there as overwhelmed as I was when I looked at them when I had to read them today. But you have way more time to read them and enjoy them all, so make sure you add them all to your pull list at your local comic shop because they're all incredible. I hope you found some new favorites this week. We will see you in the store on Wednesday for New Comic Book Day. And if not, we'll see you here on Sunday night when we come back live to talk to you about all of the next week's latest and greatest in indie comics. As always, I'm Shannon. I can't wait to see you. But until then, happy reading, everyone. Bye.